Can we get some ratchet one time? Look, I don't wanna talk. How you try and press the kid and really you was soft? All you know is capping, homie, you don't know the law. Pedal to the metal, you ain't catching me in park. I just hit the stop. I don't.
All right, folks, that's right. No crazy, what the fuck, crackhead TikTok video clips to start this off because it's Dune Part Two, live stream review here on the MCU'S Bleeding Edge, right? Very serious shit here. You know what I'm saying? So we ain't got no time for any of that. We can't have it. Phil's here, right? From the specialist and whatnot. He told me straight up, he was like, Jeff, when I come out, I don't want to see none of that. Baby leg, you know, any of that shit.
That was my number one request. It's actually the only thing I requested the entire time.
He told me, Cyber, Phil was like, dude, if I see that baby leg video, I'm out.
Well,
Cyber's got
then apparently he doesn't know what bleeding edge style is.
I'm just kidding.
She-Hulk and her massage parlor is here to stay.
I was about to say, I'm just kidding, folks. There we go. Phil, your paycheck for your guest appearance tonight and whatnot is going to be a gift certificate to She-Hulk, Savage She-Hulk Massage and Spa, sir. Just so you know.
I appreciate that.
They'll work your kinks out, sir. Believe me. You know, in their own BDSM style way. But anyways, folks, no, we are on the MCU'S Bleeding Edge. It is Friday. I believe it's 4/19/24. It's somebody's birthday out there. Whoever the fuck you are, happy birthday. Good for you. It's also 5 o'clock somewhere, so we're playing drinking games tonight. As always, participants can drink whatever beverage they want to engage in the game and whatnot, everything, as long as they engage and make sure everybody else that is drinking alcohol drinks it when the drinking words are dropped. Our drinking words tonight are any version of Paul Atreides. I'm safe right now because I'm dropping them. The Kisach Haderach, whatever, any version of Paul, anything that he's called by, Uri or whatever, Usi, any of it.
What does Lisan Agaib mean? Does that count as Paul? Because he keeps getting called that.
All that, yeah, all of it, anything.
Okay.
Anything, yeah. And then the more you drink, it can, just any sound or name could be Paul. But that Dune as well, Dune and Spice. Only the most three important words in Dune, of course. And folks, we're getting after tonight on the MCU'S Bleeding Edge YouTube channel and podcast with my co-host Cyberneticshark, holding down on the guest panel. How are you, Cyber?
I am good, sir. How are you?
Are you wondering what's going on with Blackface, Andre's fucking type cop or whatever?
Yeah, I see what he's doing. He should have had this finished before the show, Mr. Blackface.
I don't know what's going on with you, Andres. I don't know if you're intimidated by Phil already or something, but Phil's all right. I'm telling you. I promise.
I think he got scared.
Hello, Phil. No,
sorry, Andres.
Phil's good people, dude. Don't be wild by his celebrity status.
These two clowns are just annoying.
Clowns?
Yeah.
Sir, it'd be one thing to call one of us a clown, but both of us? That's a little bit. That's over the line.
Oh my God, please. For a person who's wearing a hat.
The only person here that's a clown, Andres, is you, because you sound like Bobo the Clown.
I'm someone you could call a clown, and like it could be somewhat legitimate, right? Cyber's not a clown. He's not. He's just too serious and like with it and whatnot and everything. With me, who the fuck knows? So you could call me a clown probably occasionally. Like the other night on Shogun, right, Cyber? I was in the clown zone, huh?
You were in the clown zone that night.
For real. Nothing like an off night on the show, huh, Phil? No, you gotta love it, right? It happens to everybody. But Phil's here. Phil, please introduce yourself to our audience and whatnot here at the MCU'S Bleeding Edge.
Yeah, so I've been hosting a podcast called The Specialists for about 10 years. It primarily focuses on reality TV. I was only started out as a Survivor, the TV show podcast of all things. But I love movies, and I used to work in film, and now I just wanted an outlet to talk about film. So we started doing the Cinema Specialists over on our channel. John, who's my co-host, we counted down our top 100 movies of all time. I had only seen 6 of the original, whatever you want to call them, any MCU movie. So in the MCU universe, the only movies I had seen were the first 6. So we went through and watched all of those on our channel. So those are the 2 big series we have. And then we just started doing what's it called? You haven't seen that, where we're trying to take a movie that you should have seen and a movie that you probably haven't seen, and we're pairing them up and we're talking about them. And Jeff actually joined us the other day for Sunshine and 28 Days Later. So go check that one out. All of us were greatly disappointed.
That's right. Oh God, thank the Lord, Cyber and Andres and Phil. I was not like in the fucking Twilight Zone like on Shogun the other night when I was with Phil on his show. Thank God, because that would have been embarrassing. That would have been a rough movie review, Phil.
Yeah, all of us were sitting there like, it's good. It's not as good as people say it is, but it's good. But yeah, that movie gets a lot of credit all over the place, and I'm honestly a little surprised.
Yeah, hats off to you, Phil. You turned me on to something that was pretty dope. I enjoy that. It's always nice when people do that for you. But Andre's pop culture guy is a time lord, time cop, bat lord, time traveling motherfucker. Occasionally drops blackface here on the show. Oh, wait, he's not blackface anymore, folks. Okay, he's in real life now. What's up, Andre's pop culture guy? How are you, sir?
Fine, pretty good. Nice to see you, Phil. Really impressive. I'm shocked you haven't seen all the. Oh my God, how many movies now? 30 movies since the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Oh my God,
it was pretty tortured too, because I'm not really a big. Obviously, if I wasn't watching them, I'm not a big superhero movie guy. So I'd been putting them off very purposefully, and then it kind of became the running joke of I'm going to sit down and I'm going to talk about them. I enjoyed some of them more than I thought I would. Some of them I hated a lot.
That happens.
Captain Marvel can.
No, not Captain Marvel. No, never.
Captain Marvel can.
Couldn't be.
Look, no worries, Phil.
Captain Marvel is Cyber's number 3 MCU film of all time.
What? No, it's not. I enjoyed it, but it's not my number 3, sir.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm thinking of the article I read from CBR one time, where the crackhead writer had Captain Marvel as like the top 5 MCU film or whatever. Mm-hmm. Shit was.
Well, everyone's entitled to their opinion. Hey, you might not agree, but it's their right to have that opinion.
Well, that's like trying to compare Captain Marvel to Dune Part 2. So we are waiting for Jassim Wrath of Khan. He's coming on late. He is on he's doing research. He's getting prepared because it's going to be a serious review. He's really going to put some extra work in, so he's coming in late just to make sure his game is tight for the review. Welcome to the show, Phil. It's good to have you for the first time. You love doing movie reviews, and we review movies. So we should be good friends. Mm-hmm. And folks, I hope you enjoy our show tonight. As always, please consider at least liking, following, subscribing, all that good shit, but most importantly, turn on notifications for our YouTube channel so you're aware when we're live, when we put content out. That usually helps for everybody. It's good for us, good for you, right? There you go. Very copacetic. And we like to be reciprocally here at the MCU'S Bleeding Edge. So we got a great panel, right? It's a sausage fest, but like a high IQ, hella like game sausage fest, mm-hmm. right? Which is always good. And we're going to kill it on this Dune fucking Part 2 review. Be ready, folks. This shit ain't going to be no joke. We're bringing a hella game tonight. So, Dune Part 2. First question. I'll go to you, Andre, this pop culture guy. If you can handle it. If you're with me and everything. Sir, your thoughts initially of Dune Part 2 right after you watched it. Baseline in your head, the back of your head. The end credits roll, right? What are you thinking in your head?
Sure.
Besides a big black penis.
Oh dear, here we go again. Anyway, so first off, I really liked the first film. I thought it was a really good epic sci-fi film by the great director Denis Villeneuve. And I was very excited to see this film. I heard great things from my friends. They say it's a really great chapter, and see it, I actually love it. I think if you had a problem with the first film, I think you enjoyed this movie more because it gives you a lot more action, a bit more, just more character development with certain characters you probably like in the first film, like Zendaya's character and Javier Bardem's character, and especially the world building on Dune. I was just excited to see more stuff from this universe, and that was something that was really great to see. Whenever you see a great sequel, they expand the stuff that from the first film and make it more better this time around. And that's the thing about Dune Part 2, which is great. So this is top 2024 for me for a film, which is great. And I think we're in a good start. So I'm very excited to talk more about it with you guys. in depth, and all the new the new cast that we have here is really great, especially Austin Butler, great actor. Very happy he's getting his due, and I think he's the best part about this film. And Zendaya, I love her as an actress. She's great. I think her character was much more needed in terms of character development. Well, we'll see. But
this is what I think about Zendaya and her name.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, I'm not crazy for her either, but she's a good actress.
No, you're right. She's a good actress. She's a decent actress.
Yeah. So I'm not as that crazy fan like my other friend who is like a huge fan of Zendaya. I was like, I don't know, I don't get it. So anyway,
I don't get it either.
Yeah, same here. So, but overall, I was very happy with all the cast. They got everything, like they did everything right for this film, and I fairly enjoyed this more than the first film. Despite the first one really good, it's such a setup film. This just gets rolling so quickly, which is great.
No, it really gets you prepared for review of Chucky season 3 because that's like really uber high level, So like this is a good warm up. But I'll go to you, Phil. Before I go to you, Cyber. Yes, that's right, folks. I'm dropping bombs tonight. What's up? Watch out, Phil. Same question for you, sir. If you even want to go back to your second watch, I don't care. But like when the credits rolled, right? Like what was your general consensus?
So I was telling you the other day, I like to go based on the 4-star system for movies. It seems like that's how it started. So that's what I like to think of. 4-star film. I don't go on the scale of 5. When I came out of Dune Part 2, I said that might be the worst 4-star movie I've ever seen, or it's the best 3.5-star movie I've ever seen, where I felt like it was really, really, really good. But I still felt myself being like, man, I wish there was something else. And then I was wondering, am I just being a hater? Like, what's going on here? I wanted a little bit more from the second half. And then when I watched it the second time, what always gets me with these types of movies, like if you sit down and you watch Lord of the Rings, any of the 3 Lord of the Rings, doesn't matter which one, every scene happens and you remember what the next scene is going to be. And you're like, oh, fuck yeah, here we go. I can't wait for the next scene. I can't wait for the next scene. I can't wait for the next scene. That happens a lot with sci-fi movies. And when I was watching this one the second time in the theater, I found myself being like, I'm not looking forward to really any of the scenes that are coming up. Like it wasn't hitting me as hard. It looks absolutely incredible. The acting is phenomenal. I think Zendaya is great in this movie. And I was into it for the most part. But at the same time, when people are running around calling this, Empire Strikes Back or Two Towers or something like that, trying to compare it on that level of a second movie in a franchise, there's something to be desired here. I mean, Austin Butler's awesome. He's intimidating, but he kind of appears and then he gets killed, and that's really it. It's very quick. It's very sudden. And for me, I just wish that there was a little bit more to it. And the one thing that this does have is it has more of a beginning, middle, and an end than the first movie did. The first movie has no act 3 at all. It just ends and you're like, oh shit, that would have been nice to get more. But I'm excited for a third installment. I am curious to see how they're going to do this with Dune Messiah, but this dropped down to 3.5 stars for me confidently, and it might be even 3 stars. I just don't want to nitpick Denis Villeneuve because I feel like I do that too much sometimes. And Arrival, I didn't love the first time I saw it, and then I loved it the second time. But this kind of went the opposite way for me, and I'm curious to hear what you're all going to say because, I feel like the internet wants to kill anybody who says they don't love it. So here we are.
Well, good. I like that you mentioned the comparison, Phil. I haven't seen many people actually do that so far on YouTube or anything or whatnot. Like make any videos where they've really done a lot of heavy comparison or contrasting or whatever, whatnot. I caught the Critical Drinkers review earlier tonight of the movie. He did a little bit of it, but like his video reviews are so short, it was very brief. I'm glad that you interjected that into the conversation. I'm sure we'll go back to it, probably multiple times. Please, everyone, make sure if anyone slips a drink word here, like, my drink radar may be a little bit off.
I didn't say Paul during mine.
Oh, there you go. I was about to say, I should be due for a drink by now. Jesus, I'm thirsty, man. Yeah. Look, Cyber told me I got to stop just drinking all the time and whatnot when I'm not actually, like, drinking off the game, so.
I do agree with Paul. The comparison of the great sequels debate, it's really...
You agree with Paul? When did Paul become a part of the guest panel, sir?
That's
and now you're making me drink.
That's good. So, to the sequels argument debate, like it really depends. I mean, on your mood or like how you think a sequel is the greatest. You know, for me, it's no Dark Knight or it's no like Empire Strikes Back. It just
I don't remember it being your turn.
And besides that, if you're going to compare films, don't compare Dune to fucking like Batman. What the fuck is that, bruh?
I'm not saying I'm not comparing it. I'm saying it's no way near like
that's like comparing She-Hulk to the House of the Dragon.
No,
anyway.
People are trying to say this is like the Godfather 2 of sci-fi sequels, though, and that's just not true.
No, I don't know. Let's see what Cyber thinks. Let's go to Cyber. Cyber, your first impression, your on credits and whatnot, everything. What did you think of the movie?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was better than the first one, simply for the fact that it gave us more action, gave us more worms. I thought that Timothée Chalamet's performance in it was better than the first one, and I just preferred this one because it definitely felt more like action sci-fi, whereas the first one was definitely a lot more disposition. Basically kind of giving you a story to get you introduced to it. So I like that that Denis Villeneuve took this portion and kind of made it kind of like the middle of his 3-part trilogy and given it kind of like that action aspect, what he did. So going off of that, I just really enjoyed it and thought it was enjoyable. It was entertaining. And thankfully, I haven't read any of the books or done any extra reading about Dune or anything like that. So I am happy with what the product was, and I found it enjoyable.
It's not necessary. It really isn't. And that's what's one of the most compelling aspects of how epic the film is to everyone who watches it, is that honestly, I was brought into the Dune lore fold. Having never read any of the books myself, folks, just to be clear, I would be the most Dune lore knowledgeable person probably on the show tonight. And that's all based off of an all credit due to Quinn's Ideas on YouTube. That covers a lot of Dune, does a ton of Dune, right? Is very tuned into, like, you know, has had people from the film, from the production on his YouTube channel and whatnot, right? Writers and all that. He's very connected with all that, with the whole Dune universe. And so I know a little bit about the lore. And if anything, you know, the Dune fandom is not huge, right? So the fact that they were able to pull off these two really solid films that really are nuanced and only certain, you know, people are even privy to the depth of the lore and whatnot, everything that goes on. You got to give Villeneuve credit for managing to put these films together and align them and write them and make them operate and be as entertaining as they are, right? Straying away from the books where he had to, right? But making it work so to where both camps are happy. Those that are in the loop and those that are outside the loop. Nobody's bitching, right? So, like, that's good. You know, he stuck to the source material, but he made changes because he had to, and because they're doing that third film, right? And you know, the books are huge. There's a lot in them, so it's not only going to fit into a movie. But to start off, you know, with one more question before we actually bust into the film. Coming off of Phil, I'll go to you, Phil. Now I'll go to you, Cyber. I'll go to you, Andres. Phil, in terms of comparing Dune 1 to Dune 2, you know, did watching Dune Part 2 make you like your outlook on the first Dune change?
Yeah. So actually so again, going to my star system, I just feel like it gives people perspective on what I thought. I gave the first Dune 3.5 out of 4. The first time I saw it, I watched it again. I really enjoyed the first Dune, but then I found myself saying, how can I properly state whether this is a great movie or not when there's literally no ending. You have it's just, oh, it's over. He kills Jameis and that's it. And then it's okay. Great. Like, we got the first third of a trilogy. You can feel that it's the first third of a trilogy. I don't know about all of you, and I want to pose this question and everybody can kind of answer just when they do it. But I did watch the original David Lynch Dune for the first time about a month and a half ago. And while that movie is a steaming pile of shit, like whatever cult fandom it has, like, you all are blind and deaf. I don't know how you do it. It's crazy. But I watched that movie, and I will say this about that movie. If you are confused by Dune's story and Dune Part 1 and how slow it is and the language and all of that shit, go watch the original Dune. Because it is so exposition heavy that it really draws out and explains to you the story that you're watching. So then I watched that, and then I went back and watched Dune Part 1, and I actually think I appreciated Dune Part 1 a little bit more because I understood it a little bit better, but I also saw the highbrowness of it. And then watching Dune Part 2, I actually found myself the second time I watched Dune Part 2 going, man, I actually like Dune Part 1 better. I think it is the better movie. I enjoy it more. And no matter how this trilogy ends, I think Dune Part 1 now can officially be called a great movie, where that wasn't certain after we just got that. Because if Part 2 sucked, what would have been the point of watching Part 1 ever again? So, yeah, I think that for me, Dune Part 1 is now officially a great science fiction movie. And Dune Part 2 is very good. Like, I'm not sitting here trying to say it's not. I still gave it 3.5 out of 4. But, yeah, Dune Part 1 definitely went up in my book for watching Dune Part 2.
Okay. Cyber?
So comparing the first film to the second film, you know, I have to agree with Phil here, and that, yeah, the David Lynch one is a steaming pile of dog shit. Simply for the fact that David Lynch tried to shove way too much material into one movie. That's the problem with that film. It's 3 hours long, but it misses a lot of what it needs to explain. And so now, don't get me wrong, I think David Lynch is a decent director. I definitely have liked other stuff that he's done. And I think it had a decent cast of people in it. You know, I think Kyle MacLachlan's pretty decent. I think, you know, Sting was a musician. He's really not an actor. So him wasn't like the best choice, I thought, for the film. But majority of everyone else in it, I thought, were okay actors and actresses. But overall, the whole movie, because it was just too much material into one short movie, or longer short movie, as I like to call it, it just came out crap. Now, with Dune by Denis Villeneuve and Dune Part 2 by Denis Villeneuve, like I said before, I prefer the second one right now, simply the fact that there's so much more action in it. I prefer action in my sci-fi movies. I'm not a huge fan of, you know, exposition. I don't mind some exposition, but I like the exposition to get to the point right away. I like it to give an explanation, give me an answer, not drag it through to where I'm like now halfway through the movie and going, okay, I haven't had this answer yet, but finally they answer it at the very tail end. You know, so that's how I felt about Dune Part 1. Even though I think it's a great movie, I think 2 I liked a little better because of some of the new actors they brought in, because some of the characters had bigger parts, like Javier Bardem. Absolutely love Javier Bardem in this movie. I loved his character. I loved his basically his kind of growth from the first film that we saw of him to this one. Same thing with Timothée Chalamet. I think that his growth from playing Paul in the first film to this one is completely day and night. It was so nice to see him finally kind of become what they say his character is supposed to be like in this film, and he actually finally kind of grew into that. And like you mentioned before, Jeff, how Timothée Chalamet hasn't gotten any credit for how good he has been playing this character. I do agree that he deserves some accolades for what he did produce in both of these movies. And he should definitely get credit for how good he was in this film as well, which I think was far exceeding the first film. But overall, I think my encompass between the two, both very great films. I just like 2 a little more because there's definitely some more exposition or action to it, and we have the addition of these new great characters that really embodied and really gave us very collective, decent performances.
Sure, and they also kind of did some swapping out and in with us with characters too, which is always kind of cool, right? Kind of refreshes things a little bit, you know. We lost a little bit, you know, and we gained a little bit, right? Andres, what are your thoughts, sir? Do you have a different outlook on Dune Part 1 now that you took in Dune Part 2? Do you view the film differently?
Yeah, I mean, you have to, understand that sequels are always the better ones because they don't have to set up anything for us. It's like we already know what the world is and the characters are. That's always the fun part about sequels. And so this here is no brainer. I mean, I enjoy it more than the first film. It doesn't mean that the first one is awful any means. It's just that the first film is very set up and exposition and like getting the characters to point A to point B. Here it's like, okay, I get the conflict. I know the villains. I know what the prophecy that they talked about last movie. I understand a bit more of that. So everything was just spot on, and I enjoyed this more with part two. My only gripe with this film is like it's very long, but then at the same time, it's just like you got so many characters and plot points that you have to, juggle, which is very impressive that he's able to, the director is able to, keep this focus is very impressive, and just wrapping up, I can understand why people like this because we're in a day age now that franchise fatigue is kind of kicking in, and these Doom movies have something that's special is that it's filmmaking and it's top form.
Andre's really good point though, right? People actually want another film.
Yeah,
they want
exactly. And so that's one of the things I think why people are like so raving about this is because it's like it doesn't feel like it's cynical. Like this, everything it's like everything is put in heart. Like everyone cares about this material, and that's why I like about part two and the first film is because of that. That's why. Like, I don't want to jump.
The dedication to just the pure quality filmmaking and whatnot, and everything entertainment.
Yeah, exactly, and that's something we are sort of losing, and I think that's why these Doom movies have been well received. So that's my thing about part two is that it continues to strengthen what made the first one special for people, and is getting that recognition, which is great. We need more of these movies in theaters because like we need these theaters to survive. So that's my thing. So I enjoy this more than the first one.
Good job, sir. Good job cutting yourself off too, because you sometimes you like drop bombs, right? And like when I'm about to like applaud you, you keep on going or whatever, whatnot. But you stop. So thank you, sir. Now I can applaud you. That was a really good point. And people want a trilogy here, right? They've wanted one. People who aren't Dune fans, who don't know the books, whatnot, and everything, right? They've wanted it. A lot of the reviews I've seen so far from people on YouTube, for instance, right, the bigger name ones, right, they're mentioning that the film is just purely good and entertaining, right? Like it's old timey, epic film entertaining, right? If whatever that means, it's that type of film. It's old timey, classic, epic, like you said, Phil, Godfather 2-esque level type shit in its own way, I guess, to some people, to some. Right? At least I've heard that. And it is bringing something back to cinema that's not there right now. Go ahead, Phil.
I was just going to say, I feel like for me, this is the first time in a long time I feel like we've gotten truly sophisticated sci-fi, probably since Interstellar. And I don't know if there's another one in there that I'm just forgetting. But I do feel like when these big budget science fiction action type series, franchise, whatever, get made, they're normally not as smart as people think they are. And it's just, we're going to run from point A to point B and we'll throw a twist in or two that'll make people think like, whoa, I'm smarter than I am. I feel like with this one, this is the first truly sophisticated one. The Martian. That's a good point. The Martian. Yeah, The Martian I could see for sure.
Phil, it's very tough to write stuff like that. The high
of course,
capacity sci-fi stuff.
That's why it's so impressive that Dune pulls this off and does it so well, because it's talking about stuff that a normal audience isn't going to understand.
How about Blade Runner 2049?
Was that before or after Interstellar?
After.
It was after. Yeah, I mean, that movie's great, but that's also kind of like, that's a sequel sort of thing.
Yeah.
That,
Okay,
it's
you're
building
right.
off of something.
Continuation.
Whereas, yeah, the Dune movies really, they were based on a book, but they felt like real sophisticated sci-fi. And I feel like we're missing that from theaters pretty big time. We'll get it. Even there, you're bringing up movies that I'm like, oh, yeah, that might fit, or that does fit, The Martian and Blade Runner 2049, but they're a little bit harder to think of than they used to.
Gravity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Gravity was 2013.
Yeah,
so
Gravity was more
over 10 years
it was more
ago.
visual than it was like entertaining, you know, or with the story or like that. But no, Interstellar's actually been played in the theaters recently around me and whatnot. Must be an anniversary or something like that because it's been in the theaters.
They put it out on 70, right?
Yeah, 70 millimeter. Because this year is his 10th anniversary because it came out in 2014.
Yeah, great film. Great mention there, Phil. I reviewed it whatnot with Cyber one time with J-Rent over at Podcast Odyssey. It was a great review. Good movie. Anyways, great contributions, guys. Great start. We're still waiting for Wrath of Khan, of course, but I was hoping he'd get in here by the time I tracked into the movie. But let's go ahead and get started. So basically off my outline, I want to start with how the movie starts and the fact that it starts off with the Sardaukar throat chanting, you know, similar to the first movie, essentially stating power over spice is power over all, right? Which is a main theme of this film. Because please understand, folks, that, you know, we assume you've seen this movie. If you haven't, you're just here because you're entertained by all of our attractiveness and charm and personality, right? And all that good stuff. But either way, we're hoping this is obviously a spoiler, review. So we're putting it all out there here. He who controls the spice, right, controls and runs the galactic universe in the Dune universe, right? That's how valuable spice is as a commodity. It is the most valuable commodity in the universe. There's nothing more valuable than it, right? In terms of what it can do. And I'm not going to get in on it because spice is something you could talk about for a minute in terms of its abilities, but it can do a lot of things.
You owe us like 25 drinks, Jeff.
Oh,
Spice
what
was
about
one of the words.
how many times did I say it?
At least 10 in that sentence.
Well, why do you think I picked those words? I knew as soon as we started doing the actual movie review, it was going to be a drink fest. Folks, I apologize for any awkward silences during the show tonight, but I will try my best. So, this is a direct continuation, as we already mentioned. Cyber mentioned, Phil, you mentioned, from the end of the first movie that just abruptly cut off, right? Where essentially Jessica and the P-Man, right? I'm getting smart. There we go. Getting smart. And the P-Man are being brought to the siege with the Fremen, right? Because, they need to be checked out and they need to decide what to do with them, right? We get essentially a very chaotic opening where sort of the P-Man and his mother are almost swarmed by the Fremen people. Some of them calling them spies, liars, but the majority of them already calling him, the one, we'll say, right? Since that's a safe way of not using one of the actual names. The one, right? There you go. So coming off that, we start with sort of the P-Man's integration into the Fremen community. His fight with Jameis and the immediate aftermath, right, is dealt with. And showcases Fremen culture and adapts, the P-Man and his mom, as well as us in the audience, into their lifestyle, right? How important water is to them, how they do have some tech and they have some devices and whatnot and abilities and whatnot to siphon, water from carcasses and things like that and whatnot. They're somewhat advanced, even though they are kind of savages in a way. At least that's how they're viewed by, the higher ups, like the Harkonnens and whatnot. So right from jump, like right off the bat, Stiglar is immediately smitten by the P-Man and mentally almost immediately declares that he's already basically indicated one of the signs that he is, the chosen one, right? So you see right off the bat that Stilgar's all in, essentially from jump almost. I mean, you see him really go all in later on, but from jump he's sort of all in, right? Which is very book orientated. That's very to the book. So we get the introduction of the Princess Erlon, right, in the film, who is of course the daughter of the emperor. I believe it's Shaddam, the fifth, right? And her basically, I believe, keeping like almost like a diary, right, and notating that she wonders or ponders, not having all the answers from her father, what's happened on Arrakis. You know, what's happened to the Atreides line, right? And does believe that Paul is probably alive, right? It believes he may be alive. Oh, I just said Paul. Drink. So we get Florence Pugh as Erlan, which I think is great casting. Doesn't get a lot of scenes, but she's really good in the time that she gets. We get introduced to her. And, you know, we're also introduced, you know, basically to, I apologize, folks. I'm just trying to find my way on my outline here. We're basically, you know, also shown or you know, are brought into the, you know, the fold of essentially the, more than anything, things from the Fremen perspective. That's how the film really mostly starts. Everything is sort of on their end, right? And that's sort of the viewpoint that you get from the beginning of the film. There isn't a lot of other stuff that's outside of it in the opening. So essentially, you know, I'll stop there and I'll go to you, Cyber, to start off, then to you, Andres, and you, Bill. What did you think of the opening sequence? What did you think of the introduction of the Princess Erlan as Florence Pugh, the daughter, right, of the Emperor of the entire, you know, basically the galaxy, right? And what did you think of the introduction at the siege of the P-Man and Mom?
So the beginning of the film, you know, you can totally tell it starts right off where the last movie ends. And I like that they got right into that. I thought it was a good opening. The introduction to the P-Man was, I think, you know, pretty normal. I don't think it was anything special. I don't think it's anything great, but I thought that it was a decent opening or introduction to those characters, and gave you kind of a relative idea of, you know, of who they are. The introduction of Florence Pugh's character, which I think out of all the actresses in the movie, she's my favorite. I really enjoyed her character. I thought that she definitely had that very regal like attitude to her, and I thought that she did a good job with what few lines they did give her. I do believe that, you know, she definitely is going to be a big presence going further on in the next film. And it'll be interesting to see just what she's able to do. But with what little time we had of her introduction, I thought it was a decent, you know, introduction and a decent performance. You know, popping up there with Christopher Walken too, I thought that was pretty funny too, as well, that they picked him to play the Emperor. I was kind of cracking up when I saw him, and I'm like, really, Christopher Walken? Out of all the people you could get, Christopher Walken. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I was waiting for him to be very Christopher Walken-like, but he actually did pretty decent. Like, he acted kind of more normal, more than Christopher Walken kind of presents himself usually and everything. That very insane kind of way he talks about things, you know? So it was nice to see him kind of be a little more normalish for Christopher Walken, let's say. So I thought it was his little take on that was kind of interesting. But I think it was a very solid opening. I thought there was quite a bit of information we got that we didn't get at the end of Dune Part 1. That kind of gave you an idea of where things were heading. And I thought that they did a good job with that in this beginning intro to this film.
Okay. Phil.
I think every great science fiction movie needs a solid prologue. That's just like a big theory of mine. I love like the Lord of the Rings first 10 minutes, I think, and I know that's a fantasy movie, but the first 10 minutes of that movie are like, I think like the greatest 10 minutes ever. I love that. But I think about, you know, Star Wars, all of that. They might only have the the scroll, but that is a prologue essentially. It's telling you the story, it's setting something up. And I think the way they introduce Irulan in this one really, 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 really worked. I really enjoyed that. I also like that they just drop us into the deep end and say, figure it out. At that point, you know that these characters are going to be important. They casted them as recognizable people. If you listen to the review that John, my co-host, and I did over on the Cinema Specialist, he said Christopher Walken was the worst blockbuster casting choice in the history of film, which I thought was a very funny, strong take. He was very anti-Christopher Walken in this movie, even though he's a Christopher Walken fan, as I'm sure everybody in the world is. So yeah, I really appreciated that. I think that's a great way to start off this kind of movie. I also always really appreciate second films in series when they start off with something that you didn't see in the first one. So it's kind of like taking you in and it's saying, this is how we're going to make it a little bit different. This is a character that's going to be important or a thing that's going to be important, but we're going to get back to the story, but we just wanted you to know that this was here. I think that's a really cool way to start movies. It always piques my interest and gets me going. In terms of the desert thing, I shrug my shoulders. Like, it kind of is what it is. I will say the visual effects of the men floating up to the top of that mountain are absolutely fucking incredible. I don't know how they pulled that off. It's got to be more than just CGI. It is truly insane. Them getting up to the top of that. But in terms of, he's going to go and he's going to grab the knife and he's going to try to cut whoever. And then his mom saying, don't ever turn your back to a wide open space. Like, it's a lot of reiterating stuff that we already know. And then it ultimately ends with him picking up Jameis to carry Jameis away. And you're like, yes, he is getting the hero's journey. We understand this is the arc that is starting. And yeah, it just kind of, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's not some like groundbreaking, mind-blowing opening for me.
Okay. Andre's a pop culture guy.
Yeah. I think this opening sequence and getting back to the characters is well done. I mean, first up, it's just very clear to the point. I really enjoyed the casting of Florence Pugh and Christopher Walken. I actually like Christopher Walken here. I like how reserved he is in this movie. I mean, he can be a menace in a film. I mean, I don't know what you guys think about him in certain films, but like I think he was well cast here, because you don't know what to expect the villains because they're so unpredictable. That's the reason I like Austin Butler, and I thought Christopher Walken brought that kind of unpredictable of Emperor, like, because we didn't get to it. I was kind of shocked how what happened to the Baron, when he meets up with the Emperor. So again, great casting. I think it was good that we saw Florence Pugh, because I know I'm not a huge Dune expert, so I know that she's going to be important later on. So it was important to like show us that Florence Pugh's character is going to be important into the next installment, or whatever, in this new Dune trilogy. So I thought that was very effective.
So you were only an expert at watching 3 movies at the same time.
I tried to re-up. I'm not a Dune fan, so I had to re-up which character, what's the point is going to be in the future. But anyway, and then getting back to the desert, it was really neat to see, our main characters, Wonka and Elsa Faust together as a mother daughter trio, mother son duo.
Andres, you're going to some Stevie territory, bro.
Yeah, I know. Oh god, it's gonna be hard for me to just keep Wonka's name in my head. I'm gonna call him Rat King because we call the Fairmans rats. So the Rat King. So when we see the Rat King, he's going his hero's journey. And I do agree with Phil about the special effects. I mean, spot on. When I saw those Harkonnen soldiers like going up, I was like, whoa, that was like totally unexpected. And the lasers, I don't know what you think about the lasers, like the guns and their sounds, like amazing. One of my favorite laser sounds ever. Like we never had that kind of unique sound. That's one of the things I actually enjoy about this movie. They're so innovative with the sounds and the environments that we're in Dune. So yeah, so this beginning was fun. It was it's typical, but I like how like the pacing is good. That's the thing about sequels, especially with this Dune Part 2. The pacing is so good. It's like it's dialogue, but also visually you can tell like what's going on in a very good way. So which we don't get enough in blockbusters in the visual storytelling perspective. So, but yeah, so overall they do a good job of recapping everything from the first film. You know.
Okay. Welcome to the show, Wrath of God.
Thanks for letting me in, Jeff.
What do you mean? Thanks for letting you in. What the fuck am I gonna do? Reject you? I don't really have many. I mean, you know, I don't really have many options. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings or anything, you know. So, you know, it's kind of my role to let you in. But you're welcome, sir. How are you? So, you having a good evening?
Oh yes, fantastic evening.
Phil, meet Jassim / the Real Wrath of God. He's a good friend of us at the Bleeding Edge. He's been coming on the shows for a minute.
How
Nice
you
to meet
doing?
you,
Nice
Phil.
to meet you.
Likewise.
And yes, he is perpetually young. He's actually 47 years old. Anyways, so Jasmine, just to get you involved, you know, where we're at here with the movie, I started off by just asking our first question off the intro when Lady Jessica and General P, you know, Master P, you know, get brought to the siege and they get, you know, the crush of all the Fremen and all that, right? You know, and we get introduced to the Fremen culture, you know, and how they handle burial and all that. And you know, and our first you know dealings with Princess Erlan, right? The Emperor's daughter. And basically I was just asking about that. What are your thoughts on that opening, sir? Sort of just the you know continuation right off of the first film of the incorporation of the mom and Mr. P into the Fremen culture, and then the introduction of Florence Pugh's Erlan.
So I like that with the beginning of Dune 2, it's like a seamless transition.
Oh, drink. That's Dune. Dune is a drink word, just so you know, sir. And I can say that because I'm moderating. It's
So
anything.
we're all drinking.
Any name that's Mr. P that isn't Mr. P, but it's actually direct. The word Dean for Dune, and then spice.
Okay. There's a seamless transition between the first movie and the second movie, like so seamless to where, you know, if you're in the mood to binge watch movies, like that's like the perfect movie to binge watch, like just those two. So this transition's so nice. What's really interesting was when I was watching it in like the big IMAX screen, you see like everyone's like cuddled or just lying down on the sand as like, you know, this task force comes in the beginning. And it's interesting that everyone else is slowly leaving. And then you only have, I think it was Atreides, Paul, and
oh, that's not the drink. Thanks, motherfucker. Trying to get me drunk?
Yeah, I am trying to get you drunk. And at first, I thought that those two royalty people were just bait for the Harkonnens because everyone else is leaving, but those two are the only ones staying. And only later on, you see them like leave. And I'm just like, oh, so they're not bait this whole time. So that's my thought on that. I just like the overall peacefulness of the beginning of the intro. You know, everyone's just like doing their own thing. Like, it's a good way to get people into the show. What's so funny? What?
Nothing.
Okay. And then you said we also include the part where we meet the Emperor's daughter?
Yes.
Okay. It was very interesting to see her like talking into that recorder. I thought she was actually gonna narrate the entire movie, but like as we saw in the beginning, like she didn't narrate that part. So I was expecting her to narrate the whole movie just off of that scene alone, but no.
Did you see her? Did you see her naked in Oppenheimer?
I might. I think I remembered it. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's the same screen. Yeah, I might have remembered that.
Yeah, she's fine as fuck.
Oh really? Yeah, she is.
Sorry, I didn't mean to derail you.
That's all I have to say for now.
Okay. Well, there you go, folks. Yes, Florence Pugh is very attractive and a great addition to Dune Part 2, as well as being looking really good naked in Oppenheimer. So what happens right after that, of course, is that Stilgard goes to Lady Jessica and basically tells her, right, he's already embracing the, the prophecies, right, with Mr. P. And so he tells her, our Reverend Mother is dying, right? So you're going to have to drink the water of life and become a Reverend Mother, or give your water to the desert, basically, right? It's still guard talk, because that's how he don't fuck around. And so he comes right at her with that. Now, if you don't know much about the water of life, from the Dune lore, there's a reason why it's pretty intense to put that on somebody, because basically with the Bene Gesserit, right, who are the women that are the ones behind the scene that have all the power and use all their strategies through the decades and the generations to, control the bloodlines. They have a breeding program, right? They use their ways to infiltrate politics, culture, religion, war, right? And influence everything through that, and basically, essentially, only someone who's actually already a trained Bene Gesserit would even normally ever even drink the water of life, a highly trained one, because otherwise you die, right? Any male that would die, it would just die. Any man would just die from drinking the water of life. Only a trained Bene Gesserit can even survive drinking it. And what it basically does is it awakens the memories of your entire bloodline in the past, right? Your entire female bloodline, if you're a Bene Gesserit, is awakened by the water of life, to where you could actually speak to your ancestors and see your past, right? Your entire past throughout your bloodline. They all infect you. They all become a part of you. The other memory, they call it. So he puts it on her that she's got to do that, right, to be a part of the Fremen. I thought that was pretty intense, and essentially, from there, going off of the Erelon scene and whatnot and everything, we get more information where we do get the Emperor involved. I thought Christopher Walken was fine as the Emperor personally, and Irulan learns the truth about what happened on Arrakis through her father, and basically through Mother Helen, Mother Mahim, who basically works for the Emperor, right? Is like his right hand woman. She basically tells her, because Irulan is Bene Gesserit herself, right? She's more Bene Gesserit than she is down for her, the Admiral, for her father. Like, what I'm saying? Like, that's how down with the Bene Gesserit she is. So the beans are spilled from jump right there that, what actually went down, that it was her father that, helped the Harkonnens and the bloodline of, Mr. P's house. Right. So, at that point, it's also revealed that it really wasn't even the Emperor's decision or even his idea to do it. It was actually the influence of the mother in his ear, poisoning his ear, right? Against Duke Atreides, Leno, who he actually thought as a son, genuinely loved as a son. It was the poisoning and the influencing of the Reverend Mother that caused him to take out the action against, the House Atreides. And even then, Irulan is not, she's still loyal to the Bene Gesserit. That's how it works. So that all comes out. It's all revealed, right? And she knows right there already that she's going to have to marry Mr. P or, Vladimir Harkonnen's son, or nephew, whatever, whatnot, that, Austin Butler plays. I forget his name off the top of my head without my thing. But basically, she knows right there I'm going to have to marry one of them, because that's my role with the Bene Gesserit. Whoever wins in Arrakis, right, or gains, fiefdom of it, I'm going to be marrying. So she knows her fate right from there. That's why she's so quick to marry him later on in the film. But, that's also, how she plans on keeping her father safe, essentially. So basically, it's Khitan is the planet that you see where you actually see the princess and the emperor and all that, just to give you an idea of the other planets in the system. That's actually Khitan, an actual world that has water, and it's not like like Dune drink. So basically, the mother, Lady Jessica, Rebecca Ferguson, actually does the water of life scene, right? They follow through with it. And what it unfortunately does is it not only awakens her ability to all of her bloodline's memories, it also awakens her own. She's unaware that she's pregnant, but her unborn child is actually also survives the water of life, Aaliyah. Now that's called abomination by the Bene Gesserit. An abomination essentially is when a person, specifically a preborn child, right, survives the water of life, but is not capable of handling the awakening to their entire bloodlines, the shared memories of the ancestors actually speaking to them, right, to the person. And a child, cannot handle the corruption and the influence in their mind of some of those dominant personalities from their ancestors. And in the books, that's actually what does happen. Aaliyah does become abomination and does become mad. She's driven mad by, the personalities that haunt her and whatnot in her mind. But that's why they mentioned the word abomination. And it's essentially with the Bene Gesserit, when you have abomination, you abort the child. So, they just didn't know what to do at the siege. But and it was unexpected what happened. The Stilgar forcing it the way it did not help. So she goes through the water of life. At that point, she becomes a rogue Reverend Mother with the people of the Fremen. A religious guide, right? And that gives her and Mr. P more stature with the people, with the Fremen. And we see Paul start to engage more in his relationship with Shawnee, of course, played by Zendaya. Which starts off very friendly in the beginning until she starts doing the ugly faces and dirty looks all the time and whatnot later on in the movie. But basically we get introduced to their relationship and their dynamic, which is really actually cute and I thought really well done and great to watch. It's actually Aaron Taylor-Joy's voice that does Aaliyah. When Aaliyah does speak through Lady Jessica later in the film, that's Aaron Taylor-Joy. So basically, Mr. P and his mom continue to embrace and learn their ways with the Fremen culture. Now Princess Erlin has been made aware of what actually happened on Arrakis in Dune Part 1. And at that point, they actually, start their sabotaging operations on the spawning of I'm going to say spice on Arrakis. As Andres mentioned, they've got some gear. They had some tech that, like, from the books you never realized that they had. Rocket launchers, machine guns that shoot laser pellets or whatnot. They've got some interesting shit. One dig I did have was the Sardaukar soldiers on the planet. The Sardaukar soldiers are supposed to be the best of the best. So they're a little bit soft as fighters a little bit in the film. But they start their attack. Mr. Peace starts to incorporate himself in by being very good at these hit and run, missions on the spice harvesters on the planet. And they stop and basically halt all cultivation of the S word, right? Taking it to a halt, pissing off, Mr. Vladimir Harkonnen, and then eventually the Emperor and everybody. So one of the reasons is that Paul's already having visions. He already can project what's going to happen to some extent in the future. That helps him when they plan to strategize their missions. And I'll stop there. I'll start with you, under this pop culture guy, 60-minute man, as you're sometimes known. What are your thoughts on that part of the film, sir? Going up to the point where they pull off their first set of spice harvester, attacks before we get the reintroduction of what's his name, Gunny.
The Austin Butler character.
No,
Who's that character?
You mean the guy that like plays Batista in WWE?
no, the guy from Dune 1 that's actually a part of House of Trades.
Oh yeah, the guy who gets killed by Austin.
Gurney.
Oh, Gurney. Oh yeah, that's just Josh.
Before they meet Gurney.
Josh Brolin's character.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's where we're stopping. Before we get the incorporation of Gurney in the atomics.
Okay. All right. That's fine. Okay. That makes sense. All right. So yeah, this whole part is very crucial. I think this is the best part of the film. Because, we're developing the relationship between, Chani and Wonka's relationship, Rat King himself, full force here. And it's pretty good. I think it's one of the most channel relationship development I've seen in film. I mean, they have a lot of time to do it, to develop that relationship, and it's well done. I understand why, Wonka falls for her, and I get why Chani falls for, the king himself. So, oh yes, that's part of the film. Yeah. So I think that these sequences are really engaging and they're fun. I mean, especially that the first raid against the production was really spectacular. I mean, the strike was really awesome. When Chani had that bazooka was really impressive. The sound when it shoots is really impressive. And when we see the Harkonnens soldiers in that fly helicopter machine, their shoot gun was very impressive. It was almost like a needle gun. So that was really cool. And you see right away during that first attack on the production of D, you see how Chani and Wonka falls get the rhythm of saving their backs and all that. So that was really impressive. And also, speaking of actors, those sequence, particularly with was Harban's character, what is it, Stilgar? He's great in these sequence. Stilgar, he's probably my favorite character. I mean, Bardem is an amazing actor. Have you seen his films like Skyfall and No Country Old Man? He's so good, and he's also so funny. And I just like how he interacts with Wonka in the film, and I think it's really impressive. And then I'm just going through my notes here to see what else. Lady Jessica, her becoming the Reverend Mother was very intriguing. First of being poisoned by that blue drink. I was kind of surprised she went through that. But
just to be clear, I don't think I explained it completely. Just to be clear, the baby inside the womb is then given the full powers of a Reverend Mother.
Okay.
By the water of life. So inside the womb, that is an adult there in the womb.
Yeah. Just excuse me. I'm not really accustomed how their system is in the universe. That was kind of weird to me.
You're not supposed to give the water of life to a pregnant woman, to a pregnant Bene Gesserit. It's not done normally.
Not done. Okay. So that part was really weird to me. Thank you for clearing that up, because I was kind of shocked that she did it, because I don't know how far she's in the pregnancy. That's the thing. Because you saw she flew out.
She's a fetus.
Yeah, well, a fetus. Yeah, that's true. So.
Well, yeah. I mean, the fetus is really just a clump of cells anyway. So you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Anyways, folks, sorry about that. My bad. Go ahead, Andres.
No. It's good that you interrupt, because that part was just very just okay. So we're endangering this child that's gonna be growing. But anyway, I mean, it's a sci-fi thing. Whatever, and then, yeah. Then what else? That happened. Speaking of desperation, like it was always funny to see. Did we see the scenes with the Baron getting frustrated with the attacks during this time? Because it was always funny. You know, Dave Bautista, who plays the Rambon, fantastic actor. I love like the first scene we got to Dave Bautista, and he's talking to his man to kill the rats, and he just immediately smashed one of his like his servants, and it's like kill the rats. It was so like Bane from Dark Knight Rises from Dave Bautista in that first scene. We introduce his character.
There we go again, Simon, with the Bane.
Yeah, hey, I mean, come on, it just there's too convenient. Because like Dennis is.
I like the comparison. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just hard when you see this very buff guy, and it's like he's doing so many like these super villain things. You know, it's crazy. So it was really great. And one day I appreciate with this movie than the first one was seeing more of the Harkonnens technology and its culture. That was something I really liked around this time, seeing how they can like you see their systems and then see more of their ships and like the soldiers a bit more, because last time when we did the first movie it was kind of hard to see like because they were with the other army that was from the Emperor, so we didn't really saw their like culture and the Harkonnens and their soldiers and all that and their technology. So I really appreciate to see that more in this sequence. And then we get to the starting part. It's Garney. What else? Oh, and this is where we get introduced to was it Austin Butler's character, right? Fade, Roth, right?
Not yet. No.
Not yet. Okay, so overall, I enjoyed the sequence. I think it was really good. I think, yeah, I think the Harkonnens steal the helicopters from the Atreides. They did, because you see one of them flying them. So
no,
yeah,
they everyone has them. I forget the name of them and whatnot, but they're mass produced. Everyone uses them.
Oh, okay, thank you. Because Khan just brought it up in the chat, and I was like, yeah, they were flying them. Yeah. So yeah, I really enjoyed the sequence. It was very important to see the development of, Chani and Wonka's relationship, because it's going to be important later on in the film, etc., etc. So I really enjoyed this, and I really enjoyed that we saw more of the Harkonnens' culture and their technology more this time around than the first film, and just see more Stilgar was great, because I love Brandan. He's an amazing actor.
They're called ornithopters, and they're actually made with a living creature as the engine. Believe it or not, they use a living creature, put it inside of a machine, and then it fuels the actual device. So I'll go back over to you, Phil. Your thoughts, sir. And I also want to point out too that the main reason why the Reverend Mother wanted the Atreides line ended was simply because of their tampering with the bloodlines, right, to produce the quasi Haderach, the Kisach Haderach drink. This is the name for the P-Bad. And their feelings, the Bene Gesserit, was that they couldn't control Leto or the P-Bad, right? And they wanted control over the Kisach Haderach. Another drink. I know. I'll keep track of them. So that's why she wanted to poison the Emperor and get rid of them. But go ahead, Phil. Your thoughts on that passage of the film?
All right. So a few things. I really like first, I think what's important, and so there's a couple moments in the early portion of this movie that are very, very like cliche. There's the one scene at the end of the little battle at the beginning where they say, "How are you?" And she says, "I'm fine." And then he touches her stomach and says, "How is she?" It's like, she's good too. It's like, oh, she's pregnant. There we go. Good, subtle. And so, but I actually like to get rid of that clunkiness and have that clunkiness happen to then have that be such great character development for Lady Jessica, Rebecca Ferguson, who's just amazing in these movies. I think she's just like, she's been so incredible in both of them.
Fuck yeah, Phil. She's killed it.
She's just been amazing. And so I love like that moment of when she does drink the worm piss. We see that, and we know immediately that she is so in this for herself because she knows she's pregnant. Like it's already been established that she knows she's pregnant, but nobody else there knows she is. So she knows that she's been.
Oh yeah, you called it, Phil. She's a Bene Gesserit, so she could actually she knows her entire body and metabolism.
Yeah, and so she's able to know all that. So you get to know really like how in this for herself and for the P-Man she truly is from that moment. So I really like that. Anya Taylor-Joy, I am a huge fan of. I'm assuming you've all seen The Northman. You guys seem like the bunch who would appreciate The Northman. If you haven't seen The Northman, watch The Northman. It's awesome, and she's just fantastic. She's awesome. It's just a great movie. Skarsgård is in that. It's just awesome. But anyway, so I'm excited for her in the next movie, and I'm happy that we actually saw her in this movie, all too briefly, but I'm glad she at least made her appearance. The Dave Bautista, big fan of him. That first scene of his, I think, is just like the bad version of cliche of like, we need to establish that he's a badass, so let's smash him. Yes, The Witch, obviously, Anya Taylor-Joy is great in that too. The Northman's the one that just comes to mind recently because I just think that's one of the most badass movies ever made.
When Raban's is breaking necks and shit and all that and whatnot. Yeah, it's funny.
It's just so good. But yeah, so when Dave Bautista's just breaking everything and doing all that, I'm like, okay, like I get it. He's the one who doesn't think, he just breaks and destroys, and you know, that's whatever. It's character development, I guess, but I'm not really like, I don't know. I feel like there was a more interesting way they could have done it. Also, straight out of Star Wars. I keep making that reference, but straight out of Star Wars.
It is
literally like showing them all standing around with their hands behind their backs in front of screens that look exactly like Star Wars still. So I'm having a hard time keeping up with the private chat here as we go. So hopefully you guys tell me to fuck
you know the Star Wars was influenced heavily by Dune too, though. So
oh yeah, no, of course, that totally makes sense. I just think from a visual perspective, we are now 50 years later. You could have done something a little bit more visually intriguing there, especially for a movie that is so unbelievably visually intriguing. So liked all that stuff. I thought the little fight in the desert was a good one, you know, when they're running and using the different like prongs of whatever to protect themselves and blow up the helicopter. Thought all that stuff was good. Yeah, I mean, again, like up through this point, I'm so into the lore of what's going on in Dune that I'm willing to forgive any of the flaws that I've seen this early on in the movie. And I'm willing to just be like, okay, I'm in. You've piqued my interest. I'm excited to see where this is going to go. Austin Butler is still 30 minutes or something away from even showing up. So like everything else, though, I think it's working. And some of it's a little bit clunkier than other stuff, but for the most part, yeah, I'm in. I'm sold. Keep it going. And yeah, Stilgar, Javier Bardem is great in this movie. Like he really is. And I feel like they got the perfect casting of him. And this, like every time he says Lisan Al Gaib, I understand that that's become a meme now, which it should be because he says it. He has to say it at least 60 times in this movie. It is absurd how many times he says it. But yeah, for this portion of the movie, what are we, 40 minutes in? Thumbs up.
Hell yeah, baby. What do you think, Cyber? What are your thoughts, sir? Yeah, Justin, most chicks, dude, are like talking to 20 dudes at a time, bro. They seeing 2 dudes is no big deal for them.
So this section of the film is pretty expeditious, I feel, expedition-like. It gives you a lot of information that is kind of basically to kind of move along the story for you to understand kind of like more about the lore, more about the people and stuff like that. So I think it's a pretty basic, knowledge train, as I like to call it, of information throughout this section. I know everyone is big into Rebecca Ferguson's character, but I just don't find it very entertaining, her character. I kind of find it kind of stupid, actually, honestly. I think that the whole drinking of that water stuff and her being pregnant and being able to talk to the kid, I get that, it's a part of the Dune universe and stuff like that. But at the same time, I just kind of find it kind of hilarious. And I just think it's kind of like, I don't think it really helps or makes the movie any better. So I'm not big into it. I don't think she's anything that great, that character. But overall, I think that, Rebecca Ferguson as an actress is pretty decent. She usually does a pretty good job. I have enjoyed her other things, but this role, I don't find anything special about it. I think she's just there. She's a character that's in the film. I don't think she's great. Kind of like Zendaya. Zendaya is the most pointless actress in this movie, heads down.
Cyber, do you not agree that it can't be easy to have to portray a character that's literally being possessed by a child that's an adult, right? That can speak to you as an adult?
That wouldn't be hard. No. That's pretty easy. You just kind of pretend you're nuts and it works. A lot of people do that these days just for fun. But anyways, I think that she's, like I said, okay. And I think her scenes here are pretty basic. It gives you kind of an idea of where her character is going, where her character is, being introduced to the unborn child in her. And we get, like I said, a lot of great scenes here in this section with Javier Bardem that Mr. Andreas was talking about earlier, who is a great actor. I really always enjoy him. He's actually, I think one of his best films is The Butterfly and the Diving Bell, where he plays a paraplegic that, unfortunately, the only way he can communicate is through one of his eyes.
That's the sea inside. He plays. That's in the sea inside. Diving Bell and the Butterfly is Julian Schnabel. Sorry, I had to. Sorry, I'm not. I don't know if I was supposed to do that, but I had to.
You're very bad, Phil.
Yeah. Anyways, I knew it was one of those types of movies. Anyways, the character he played was very impressive, and I think it really showed Javier's abilities at acting, and he's a really good actor. I really enjoyed him in the fifth Pirates of the Caribbean. He was great in No Country for Old Men. He played a really great villain in that. And I just really enjoyed his character in Dune Part 2. I really enjoyed his evolution, his how his character is really altered since the first time we saw in the last film. And I think that through this whole thing, him kind of being a very diehard fan of Timothée Chalamet's character, feeling that he is this prophesied Messiah. I like how that he stands by him through this whole section, and as we go later in the film, we'll see more. But I really enjoyed how he's kind of like grown a likeness of him because he's so intent on believing he's this person. And so I think that like kind of how they kind of developed the relationship between Timothée Chalamet's character and Zendaya's character. Kind of during the sequence too, they start to fall in love. I knew that was coming, but at the same time, I watched Timothée Chalamet in these scenes, and I feel like he doesn't really. It doesn't feel like a real passion love like in some movies. So I could definitely tell. I don't think he's really into having to play a love character with Zendaya. So I think it's kind of funny. But at the same time, like, how she's considered so great in this, or even in the first one or anything she's in, I just kind of laugh all the time. Every time I'm just like, I don't know what people are seeing, but okay, good for them. But at the same time, this section, like I said, is very much a lot about getting more knowledge of what the Dune universe is. And I think they do a deep job of giving us that and moving it forward.
Most definitely, sir. I apologize, sir. The private chat has me a little fucked up. But anyways,
You're always fucked up.
Well, yes, I am, sir, typically. But, either way. Mr. Red the Con, sir, before I go to you, I'm just a pop culture guy. What are your thoughts, sur, on where we're at in the film before we go up to the part where we actually get the bringing back or the return of of Gurney, and we bring in the atomics and all that shit into the movie? I'm talking to you, Jasper.
Is the Wrath of Khan going to speak?
Oh, wait.
How
you
can
want me to talk?
Wrath of Khan does not sound like Andres.
Okay, I can go again if you want me to.
Jeff, wait.
Phil's going to take your spot. Yeah, Jeff, I'm asking for your contribution.
I thought we were talking about this section before. You just immediately like jumped to another.
No, I didn't jump that section. Same section.
Oh shit, same section. Okay.
Did I already go to you?
I can talk about the water.
I hadn't gone. Did I already go to you? I thought I hadn't gone to you yet.
You haven't. Okay, I'm just making sure because when you're mentioning gurney and stuff, I'm just like, wait, that's like a section.
No, where did that go to?
Okay. Thanks for clarifying. Okay, so I'm going to give credit to the mother of Mr. P for her acting when she drank the water, because what was interesting is during that scene, when you learn about the water, like how like toxic it is, how you shouldn't drink this at all costs, it's like, you know, as an audience, you know, first time watching this, you're like, okay, it's just water. What could be bad with it? But then when you see her drink it, and then when you see her, the way how she's like, you know, acting like a zombie, you know, like, or acting like someone being like possessed, like just that alone just convinces you, like, okay, this water is toxic. Like, it really teaches you a lot about the water just from that alone. So bravo to that actress for the acting. What was interesting is in the Dune lore, so after she drinks the water, she actually gives birth to that child, and that child happens to be like the Lisan al-Gaib. But in this film, they chose to just keep her pregnant, and then only in the third film, I learned that's when they're actually
that's a drink, and she doesn't become the al-Gaib.
It was something else.
She kills Harkonnen. She's the one that actually kills Vladimir Harkonnen, not Mr. P.
Oh, okay. No, but she was something special though for the Bene
I told you, she's a Reverend Mother in the womb already.
Oh, okay.
She's at the same level as Mother Gaius or whatnot with the Emperor in the womb. She's at that level.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I'm very excited to see her in the third film. As we talk about the whole guerrilla warfare, I'm just gonna say I like how they did a great job with making the the Fremen as like a combination of the Viet Cong and the Mujahideen. Mujahideen for the desert warfare, the Viet Cong just for the way how they just blend in to their environment. Like just that, like the way how they structure the whole. Okay, that's 7. Okay. The way how they structured the whole attack is like, it's so convincing. Like, oh yeah, this is like guerrillas fighting against a superpower. And that's like the whole dynamic with the whole film. But the way how they convey it in that one scene is just amazing. Like, it helps you understand why in the earlier scene, when you have Dave Bautista and his stormtroopers, like in that dark environment, like just their frustration over the Fremen, calling them rats and stuff. That's how we normally see superpowers talking about, you know, the little guys that they're fighting, like how when the US fights the Viet Cong or when the Soviets are fighting the Mujahideen, like just the dynamics are all the same. And I just like that, especially when it comes to this whole sci-fi saga. And let's see. And that's all I have.
Okay, sir. Andre's the pop culture guy, sir. And none of that talk about the church molestation stuff, whatever, whatnot, like the other night. I don't want none of that.
He's talking about Shogun.
Yeah, I know what he's talking about. He talked about the disturbing thing that he shocked us all. Anyway, I still cannot believe he went there. So now we can talk about Josh Brolin's character, and then.
I already went to you. There we go. Perfect. Now I can actually move forward. I already went to you. There we go. Perfect. All right. Sorry about that. I'm letting the private chat fuck up my ability to control the rotation. So, just to be clear, where we're at is where the introduction of Gurney and the introduction of the House Harkonnen and whatnot, everything, and the other characters come in. So we get Gurney, right? Mr. P is working his way in to the Fremen. As far as Stilskar is concerned, he's given every sign and every indication possible. He's about to ride a sandworm too, right? That he is the chosen one, right? Like he's all in. And by now in the film, it's already been made clear to you in the audience that Mr. P does not want to go south, where there are more Fremen, than where he's actually at in the north, simply because of his prophecies and the fact that he knows for sure, he knows that in the south, the Fremen are more fanatical, right? More diehard to the prophecies, which, in all honesty, just to be clear, those prophecies were simply created by the Bene Gesserit, right? In what they call essentially, I'm sorry, let me find a piece of paper here, my glossary. There it is. What they call essentially Machinera Protectiva, which was the religious engineering, practiced by the Bene Gesserit, spreading infectious superstitions on indigenous, primitive cultures on worlds, right? For later on use by the Bene Gesserit to exploit those people, right? In whatever necessary capacity, in whatever time. That's what it is. That's what it's called. It's called the Machinera Protectiva. And that's how the prophecy was started by the Bene Gesserit. They started it thousands of years ago. Now, in the books, Shawnee, the other Fremen, they don't accuse the Bene Gesserit of any of that stuff. They think it's all real. They just question whether or not Mr. P is the man. The change of the film is just to make it work, which I understand that, right? Shawnee already at this point in the movie starting to question some of this, the chosen one type stuff. I get where they're going with that. They're setting up for the third film and all that and whatnot. And I understand that. But we see Gurney. He's alive. He's basically out there like black market harvesting the S word, right? The stuff that comes from the desert and whatnot and helps all the space travel happen and shit and whatnot and stops aging. And meets Paul and lets him know that, hey, guess what? We've got all the atomic arsenal left over from fucking 10,000 years ago from the Butlerian Jihad when the entire planetary council and shit declared that all nukes had to be destroyed, right? The penalty for even owning these weapons is planetary destruction. That's your penalty for owning an atomic weapon. It's planetary destruction completely by the governing body, of space or whatever. So they've had them bitches for 10,000 years, right? House Atreides. And they are old school nukes from back in the Butlerian Jihad when we had the overthrow of all thinking machines by man. Hence why, now they don't use anything like that. They don't have computers or anything like that and whatnot. So they have things like mentats. They've trained people to be like machines. So essentially, we've covered Gurney becoming a part. We have not very much of the Harkonnen stuff and whatnot in the film, but we have Vladimir Harkonnen's very unhappy with the halting of the, yes, I'm going to say spice cultivation, right? People are bitching at him. Him and the Emperor have the whole weight of the entire, what they call, Galactic Senate on their asses over this spice. Pardon me. So, essentially, that's what we do actually see and get brought in. The replacement of Dave Bautista's character, I forget, is it Ratha?
I think Dave
Or
Bautista
Raban?
Beast.
Beast
I think
Raban.
Beast, yeah.
Beast Raban. We do get he gets replaced, and he is not. He's taken. He is loses control over Arrakis, right? And it is set over by Vladimir Harkonnen to, I believe, what is his nephew. Oh, there's Cyber. He's back. So I believe it's his nephew. And of course, I don't have his name right in front of me, but that is the Austin Butler character. Can somebody help me out here with that?
Fade Rotha.
Yeah, all right, Fade Rotha. So if the Fade Rotha character gets introduced, he is the nephew of Vladimir Harkonnen. He's a sicko. He's fucking really possessed. He's really demented, very violent, sexually violent, like most Harkonnens. He's pretty out there. We get an arena scene with him where it looks like I've done that before, Cyber, you know that. Where it looks like literally, usually they drug his opponents in the arena. Now they just kind of like crippled some of them first before they can come out and actually fight him, like the last of the Atreides, whatever, right on his birthday, you know. So as a setup, before the head of the House Harkonnen actually gives him the governance of Arrakis, we see this little show of him fighting in the arena. It's pretty well shot. It's pretty dope. A lot of people in that arena, huge arena. And that is actually the planet where they train the Sardaukar, I believe, if I remember correctly. And off that, right, we end up going back to the Fremen at that point, and we have scenes with Lady Jessica essentially almost possessed, right, driven, and basically telling Mr. P flat out, hey, this is what we have to do to win here, right, to get revenge, to survive, right? We need to basically, go after the weak Fremen that, are the ones that are obstacles to us or to our, to this prophecy, right? And strengthen our union with the South, with the fanatics, right? And so you have this pressure that Mr. P's taking from everybody. He's got Gurney in his ear telling him, use this whole thing, use it for revenge. He's got his mother, right? Making deals and doing things behind his back, pushing him, right? South, down this golden path, which he knows in his visions is going to lead to the jihad. He knows that. He does not want it. That's why he avoids going south. At the same time, we have the relationship of him and Chani developing and getting rocky, but still developing and whatnot. Many months have passed. They've obviously been living together and, doing adult things together and whatnot and all that. It is a pretty solid film romance, I think. And essentially, what we end up having happen with the introduction of Gurney, the change up of the control or the running of the Spice, yes, Spice, I said it twice, operation on Arrakis, it's all coming to a head, basically with Mr. P and, and the Harkonnens, essentially. So I'll stop there. I left some stuff out on purpose for y'all to fill in. But basically, the only thing that I think it's important that I skipped really in there is just that we see more of the attacking of the spice, the operations. There's some great scenes. They really are. It's really cool. And we see the sandworm riding. That was really well done, I thought. Especially compared to, like you said, Phil, that first film in the 80s. Definite change. Looked really good. And if anything, I thought that maybe they could have done the sandworms more in the film. That would have been my only critique. I really like them. So I'll go with you first, Mr. Rathacon, and then you, Andres. What are your thoughts, sir, on that part of the film when we're leading up to the actual, council meeting with Mr. P, where they decide to actually then declare a sort of war?
So what's interesting is both Mr. P and his mother, it's like they're both going from trying to like buy the Fremen or like try to obtain the Fremen's like trust and loyalty to like actually like joining in on the prophecy itself. Like we saw how Lady Jessica was like so nervous to take the blue drink, and I guess ever since then she like started becoming more into the prophecy, while Paul is like trying to avoid the whole prophecy. So at least like you start to see Lady Jessica's like first diving into the prophecy, and then we see what happens later on in the movie. But when it comes to Mr. P and his girlfriend, it's very interesting to see that Mr. P would like tell his girlfriend, like, I'm not interested in having power. I just want to help your people. I just want to go home. Like, that's it. Like a simple man. And Mr. P's girlfriend likes it. And it helps explain why she wasn't like fond of the people in the South. So That was really interesting. Like you just get to learn more about the dynamics between those two and why that girl likes Mr. P. And did you actually include the section where they're at that planet with the black sun, Jeff?
Would that be the one where they have where
The arena?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. This section, I find that very unique when it comes to sci-fi, because for most of sci-fi, you don't ever like hear a planet with a black sun, and then it's like when you're in the planet, everything's like black and white. Like you rarely see that.
Well, it's Wakanda forever, baby, on that planet. Wakanda forever.
No, Wakanda is quite colorful, actually. You're funny, Jess. But really, that's the only part I could say where like Dune 2 excels. Like where you see most of the originality is like in that scene, in that planet, that whole setting. Like even when the Emperor's daughter, the other Bene Gesserits, like they all come to that planet and visit. It's like they too happen to be black and white. It's like it's not just these people that, you know, are like getting affected by it. Even outsiders, like their appearance gets affected by it too. And it also helps explain why a lot of these people, it's like they're very pale, like skin color wise. It just explains so much. One part I do want to talk about is when the nephew was training or like about to go into the arena. One thing that I just did not understand is he gets the blade and he kills two ladies in the locker room with that blade. It's like, you know, you slice that one lady's like neck, is not enough, and then he ends up stabbing this other lady too. The other ladies are scared, but you don't see them run away. It's like that's not rational. That just makes no sense at all. So the guy's a sicko, yes, and that scene fully conveys that. But I don't know. That whole scene was also kind of confusing, illogical. That's all I have to say.
There's more to it in the books. There's more on the Harkonnens. There's more on Raban. There's more on Faye. It's all their backgrounds, their backstories, even worse shit they've done. Right? Like they're really disturbed. The line of your Harkonnen is really messed up. Some of the shit he does.
I'm surprised the daughter of the Emperor is like not even afraid to talk to him or see him. It's like I would want a whole army just to see that.
That's not the daughter. That's one of the Bene Gesserit.
I mean, yeah.
They sent her in just to get impregnated by him. That's all, because he's part of their bloodline program, just like everybody else.
And when you need like boobs or something like that, you go to Leia Sadu because she's just naked in like every movie she's ever been in. So there it is.
And she's got the Bene Gesserit powers and shit and whatnot, and she actually brainwashes him and forces and incorporates into like her time with him a word she can use at any given time to break him and control him. That's the Bene Gesserit get down. Right, Andres? It's your turn, sir.
All right, tell me where's the start and then the end.
We are going until the epic, outstanding speech at the Battle Council with Mr. P. Up to that point.
Okay. Yeah. So this is the introduction and reintroduction of several characters, like the introduction of Austin Butler's character Faye, a very fascinating villain who doesn't have enough screen time, which is kind of shocking because that. I agree, Jasmine, about not knowing too much of the Harkonnens culture and all that. I think there's enough to say that they're very brutal, savage kind of people. Seeing from the first chapter and this chapter how they respond. I mean, like Dave Bautista just show you how brutal and just savage these house of Harkonnens are. So I think it's conveyed here, and I mean. I was laughing at the person that was bringing the blades, and you can clearly see he's like shaking. He doesn't want to die because he knows he probably like bring the blade and then like slash him. And it was funny that the Butler character, like only slashed the two girls and not him, and that was like the most one of the most funny payoffs, I would say. But yeah, when you went to the when you get into that arena, that was a really first off, I love the visual look of this. I guess the Harkness planet we're in. I really dug it. It's very HG Giger kind of environment, very dark and a lot of blacks. In that environment of their planet, and so that was really cool. And seeing that they had to drug 2 or 3 soldiers, and then the one that didn't get drugged, which was kind of interesting. And I thought that Rena was really cool, and I think that Speller just nails that role so perfectly. I mean, in fact, he's bold and like he has that gooey mouth, like dark teeth. It's like very creepy. Yeah, I don't know. They did. I think that introduction of this character was really awesome. And then we'll get into the other lady from the last 2 Dale Craig films, Lee Espresso. I kind of wish we had more of her because but at the same time, I guess she plays the same kind of role with with those like the motherhoods trying to breed a daughter for the bloodline, and she successfully did it, which is pretty interesting. So so that part was good, and then the reintroduction of Josh Brolin's character was really great. I was kind of shocked that they still have weapons, nuclear weapons. I was like, come on, you could easily use that when you were first attacked, but I guess okay, you save it, but we'll see.
It's a last resort. Again, the violation of using them is planetary destruction.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could just use one and then just like stop, because they were getting killed that the first part. So, but I understand. I mean, last resort. I get it. So it was really nice to see him again because I was so worried that he did die, but I was so happy he came back and survived, and because I really dug his relationship with Chalamet's character, the master and then the apprentice and all that. And so there were a couple of jokes. Like my favorite joke from Bolin's character when he was talking about the nukes and how big they're going to explode. They're going to explode the whole entire planet. And then I like the look from Johnny and Stuttgart, and they were like, really? What? And he's like, look, that's a figment of speech. And that was so funny. I love that. That was such a great gag. Then what? Then when obviously when Butler now arrived to the planet D, them attacking that. Is it the south they were doing or the north?
The south is where the fanatics are, the ones that actually are diehard with the prophecy.
Okay, so they were in the north where we saw like the North's hideout, and they were getting killed because they were shooting the rockets at that. That was really brutal. And then when Butler's find the spy that were watching them, and then you see him pulling the flamethrower, and then we cut it back to the worm, back to our group heading to the south. I think they were heading whatnot. Showing how brutal this character was. And then what else? And this time, we got back the other person that was Jessica, the late Jessica's mother. I forgot her character's name. I'm blanking.
No, she's always been a fabric of the film. That's Mother Gaius.
Yeah, Reverend Mother. Yeah. It's great to hear more of her, and like she was very manipulative. Like I think at this point we know that she was the one that convinced the Emperor to put the attack on the Atreides, and so that like made a lot of sense. Obviously she has disapproved that Lady Jessica bred a son, not a daughter, as they wanted to do in the first film, or in general their rule of breeding daughters, and so which later on we see Florence Pugh's character gonna do exactly the same.
No, they didn't want the Kesach Haderach. Yeah, I'm gonna drink off that. to come from that bloodline. They didn't want that. They didn't like.
Yeah.
They didn't trust Leto or Mr. P. They wanted the next, coupling to produce that person, that baby. That's why the baby was supposed to be female. The Keith Shadrach has to be male.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, because I was trying to remember with the first film, because they were really wanting a female or like a female.
Only a male can drink the water of life and then have the ability to not only be able to look past, but also look forward.
Look forward
and live in both times in both worlds.
Yeah. No. I agree. It makes more sense now, and plus, and getting to, the part where Chani, doesn't like, because she's worried about, Chalamet, believing the prophecy. One of the things I don't like, I agree with Saber about, Zendaya and all that. The thing I think it's just the character. I like this love interest not believing the prophecy. I never liked the ideas of prophecy and all that, if you're not a big religion person. And yeah. I say shiny, not trendy, crazy fuck. Motherfucking plant. Oh God. I had to start over. Yeah. Anyway, Zendaya's character. I'm just to say Zendaya's character. So I hate you. I'm done. I can't speak. I'm done. Because he's put up stuff.
Jeff, how drunk are you, man?
He's not even drunk.
I'm not even drunk yet. Andres can tell.
Yeah. No, he's been sober. 2 shows ago when we did, I don't know what we did, some other movie. He was very drunk. No, he's been sober.
Okay, we gotta say Atreides 100 times more.
Oh God, no! Please no. Anyway, so I'm very fascinated. I like Stan's character that she doesn't believe the prophecy. She just Chalamet's character as this noble hero. Like helping the famine to be free. Like she doesn't like this religion aspect, which I like. That's why I'm with this character. I don't care about the relationship. I kind of like how this character doesn't like the idea of prophecy because you're gonna do false hope on the people, and plus you don't know if Chalamet will become a villain, later on, and care about the power because when we get to the nukes, Josh Brolin's character say this is power. This is all you're harnessing all this power, and and that's kind of scary because he's having all those nukes. Imagine this one person holding all these nukes and gonna haunt this whole planet. So I this is where I agree with Zendaya's character, and I start to like her more as this individual. And yeah,
okay, 60-minute man.
Well, I'm done now after whatever happened.
You said you were done 17 minutes ago.
Well,
Phil's dick fell off during that time.
Andre started talking at 1:28. I'm just saying.
Oh my God, that's true. All right, I'm done. Thank you, everyone. Ciao. Have a nice day.
I mean, shit. Phil's gonna drink the water of life in a minute and whatnot if he doesn't get a chance to talk. This is fucked up, man.
It's the easiest way to go out on your own terms.
Phil, where's your water of life?
Phil,
dude, it's right here. I wish I had worn piss, man. I'm ready to go.
You better take a pregnancy test, bro, before you drink that water of life, bro.
Yeah.
You don't want to be talking to your unborn child and shit and whatnot.
Oh my God. I'm ready. If it's Anya Taylor-Joy, I'll talk to her. It's fine. What do we do?
Oh, that's a little weird, Phil, but that's okay. All right, Phil. What are your thoughts? So we're going up until we get to the point where Mr. I'm gonna win an Oscar off this bitch goes to that fucking battle tribunal.
Yeah. So, okay. You had mentioned earlier, and I wrote this down because I feel like this is a fun fact that a lot of people who watch this movie don't actually know. The worm scene. You were like, I wish they would have had more of that. It took them 44 days to shoot the worm scene of Timothée Chalamet getting on that worm. That is absolutely ridiculous. 44 days is the length of half the movies we've reviewed. That's longer than their actual shoot time.
That's almost as many as illegitimate children I have.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, that's crazy. 44 days is such an absurd number for this. So I just wanted to throw that in there. That's crazy. That's such an impressive scene. I really love that scene. I think that really is the hero moment when the music comes in and it's like, you know, it's got the voices in the background. I really love that. So that really worked for me. The one thing I got to say across now that I've watched the David Lynch piece of shit, now that I've watched this, no matter how good Austin Butler is in this movie, and no matter how bad Sting is in the other movie, nobody has been able to figure out what to actually do with Fade Rafa, because he's got some badass moments, but it's just, he's not there enough. He does not feel like the actual major villain to Timothée Chalamet in this
When
movie.
your name is Sting, sir, people just assume you could just do shit.
Exactly. And he couldn't. He could. And I think with this one, with Fade Rafa, like, you get the cool moments, you get the fun battle scene, you get to see that he's a psycho. I mean, he's weird looking, he's got no hair. Like, I like this. But he just does not get to the level that they want him to be. And I think that maybe that's just a flaw with trying to translate this character from a book to a movie. But it just does not work. It doesn't work at all. And what else do I got? I still have like 25 minutes, right? That I can go here.
I mean, Andres went for 77
That's
minutes.
what I'm saying. So I got like 25 more minutes. Let me get into the facial hair I appreciated in the movie.
Bro, the facial hair.
Yeah, let me get into all of that now. No, the Harkonnen scene's great.
You mean Zendaya's stubble?
Yeah, that one. I gotta disagree with the Wrath of Khan here about the the scene where he cuts the two girls' throats and then stabs the other. I think it's great. And then he has the line of, this isn't sharp enough. Like, it's literally his way of being like, if I want to kill two people at the same time, I wish this blade was sharper. And the girls who were sitting in the back who aren't running away, those are his pets that he's just feeding whatever weird ass drug thing that they're eating. I don't know, is it human? Whatever it is. They're just eating that, so they're not concerned. They know they're the ones that are safe, and they're so fucked up in the head that they're not worried about it anyway. So I really like all of that stuff. I just feel like his character as a whole can have all these cool moments. It just doesn't get to the epicness that you really, really, really want it to get to with that type of villain, because I think he's too side character-y for too long. I mean, he doesn't come into this movie till almost an hour and a half in, which is a really long time. And you can still build a great villain off of that, but I wish there would have been more to that one. Gurney. Yeah,
it takes a long time to blacken the teeth.
It does. It takes a very long time. Gurney is whatever. I don't know. I kind of shrug my shoulders at Gurney. Like, Josh Brolin, I like him. Cool. But Gurney's character, I guess it's nice that he's there and that people he gets to bond with our boy, Mr. P, but it doesn't do anything really for me. I just feel like he's such a side character. And I don't know, it doesn't really hit for me. So yeah, this is where we start to get into where I started to fall off with the movie, where I said, okay, I really liked the beginning, and now I'm starting to lose a little bit of interest. The whole going south thing, I really like, and I'm excited to see how that's going to play out in the third one, because a lot of people are making the argument that this is like a white savior movie. But really, this is actually like an anti-white savior franchise. And that's the funny part about people going into like their knee-jerk reactions to stuff. I'm pretty sure the whole point of Dune is that like he becomes essentially their messiah, and then everything just fucking falls apart because of him, and he pretty much kills everybody.
Drake.
Yeah, okay, yeah, there you go. But I'm pretty sure that's the situation, if I'm not mistaken. And so that's where this is going. And so I love the whole idea of that he knows that by him going south, billions are going to die, and yet he does it anyway. And then we get the cool speech scene and all of that. So yeah, I'm into some of it. I'm not into other parts of it. The visuals on whatever planet with the dome are incredible. And I do love the black and white thing. And I love that the characters change colors throughout the movie too. Like, that's how much detail they put into this. When they're outside, they're so white and so black. There is no other color there. And then they go into a room on that same planet and there is color. That is really insane. They didn't just saturate it for the entire thing. They really thought that through. A room would have different light than the outside. And that's just like Denis Villeneuve, like, good job. That's where you realize what you're doing. But that's really all I have on this part. And yeah, I'll just, I'm assuming we're going to be like sprinting to the finish line after this part.
You don't want to go longer?
I could, but I'd also like to go to bed by like 3 a.m. So we'll move on to the next one.
Phil, if we're almost at the 2 hour mark, if you need to pull out, sir, just let me know first, please. And make sure
I'm just gonna bail, and you're gonna hear from me in a month, or I'm gonna be like, yeah, remember that time I just left your podcast?
I prefer it on my back, sir. When you pull
is that
out,
what it is? Is that what the pullout's doing? Okay, good.
Yeah,
good to know.
and make sure you have a towel.
Yeah,
but just let me know. There you go. Little sex ed there, folks. There we go.
Yeah. I know. See, I'm not leaning into the innuendo as hard as you want me to, but someone over here who I'm still not convinced isn't 14. He's laughing.
Sir, he is 47 years old.
I don't believe you. Somewhere between 14 and 47. I'll buy that.
There you go, sir. You got it. Anyways, Mr. Cyberneticshark, sir, if there's any crumbs left on a piece of pizza for you to fucking rape off of and whatnot, or kill with that fucking sword or knife or whatever, whatnot, have at it, sir.
All right, so this is the section of the movie I really enjoyed. It really got me back into film, because all that exposition at the beginning started to kind of bore me a little bit towards the middle, and I almost was no, there's no rape crust. So it was kind of getting boring for me a little bit, and then this is when it really started to pull me back in, because we got the worm, we got some worm action, we got the introduction to Austin Butler's character, we got the kind of the action sequences of the film. This is where we started really getting action, and I forgot to mention earlier how much I really enjoyed when they were going to try to sabotage all the S-word vehicles in this movie, which were really fantastic. Those carriers were so freaking badass looking. I absolutely loved them. I thought they were visually beautiful, thought they were visually done well, and the graphics looked really amazing. Villanova did a good job of making it look really nice. It didn't look like that CGI look. It looked like those were real machines there. So I thought that they did a really good job with that. But yeah, I mean, that whole battle sequence in the arena I thought was really well crafted. I really enjoyed how they had it where this particular planet had that black sun thing going on. And I was kind of like thinking to myself, oh, did Villanova decide to just go black and white with that scene? But it was actually supposed to be because of that black sun. I didn't get that at first until I watched it the second time, and I was like, oh, okay, now I get it a little better. I get why it's changed to this. I just thought he was trying to do a color palette change or something at first, but that makes a lot more sense. And I was like, I really liked that they did the battle in that like black and white sepia tone look. I thought that looked really cool, and it made it even more visual when he's taking the people out, and like his black teeth and the black outfit and then his white skin, it just really popped. So I thought that was really cool. And I get where Phil's coming from about, Austin Butler's character in the two movies that they've, brought him to life in. I get where he's coming from, where he just didn't seem like a big baddie. I get that. But at the same time, I think that in this, compared to Sting's version, I definitely feel it hit the mark enough to make it entertaining. It's not the best performance in the world. Yes, hands down, it's not like he's super enemy, but at the same time, I think it still was good enough to be entertaining. And I thought that Austin did a great job. I really enjoyed his character throughout this whole thing. And I think he did good enough to really give us a fun character. Now, with him killing all those women, that I automatically, like, my first thought process was, this guy is supposed to be devious. He's supposed to be insane. He's supposed to be crazy. Why wouldn't he do this? And so that was like, as I was watching, I was like, I get it. I understand where they're trying to go with this. And Somebody that is ruthless like that, like, if you were to talk about a real serial killer or something, they don't care about who the person is, if they're woman, man, blah, whatever. They're going to kill it because that's what the urge for them is. And that's kind of like what they were trying to express there. So I understood that whole concept of why they played it out like that in that scene. But overall, like I said, this scene just really got, this whole section was just really entertaining with lots of great action. The reintroduction of Gurney. I absolutely love Josh Brolin. I've been a big fan of his since Goonies. I have watched lots of his films over the years that he's done, from Mod Squad to No Country for Old Men, Old Boy remake, and so forth. And I think that he's a very underrated sidekick kind of character, or a character actor, I like to call him, kind of like Stanley Tucci or Steve Buscemi. They are like these great character actors that don't get enough credit for how good they are at acting. And I think Josh Brolin has, over the years, gotten better and better, and he's very enjoyable in what he does. And I really think he proved it when he did No Country for Old Men. He really showed that he has some decent acting chops that he can provide. So I think that his character of Gurney, even though it was kind of like, as Phil said, like he's kind of like that side character kind of guy, I still think that mentorship that he has with, Timothée Chalamet, I think it still works really well. And it gives you that father figure he doesn't have because his father's been killed in the previous film. So I think that plays out really well. And I just thought, Josh Brolin did a good job. But overall, I think this whole section was done really well. When we get to that, we're going to when he does the speech, or before he does the speech, sir?
When he does the speech.
When he does the speech, okay. That speech was phenomenal. I don't care what anybody says. I think it was very phenomenal. I think it exactly proved my point that Chalamet has gone from that little pathetic boy we saw in the first film to becoming this supposed Messiah. Drink. And it really has shown his growth throughout the two films, and shows that he's starting to believe these things that he's been being told, these visions he's having, and all this kind of stuff. So I think that Chalamet did a great job of allowing that to grow in his characterization, and that scene, I feel, proved it by how great he gave that speech to really entice the troops to be able to go to battle. Really well done section. Really enjoyed it.
I thought he did a great job suppressing his character in the first film and then blowing it up more in the second one. But go ahead, Phil.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw in one thing because what was it? We're kind of having a conversation here, me and Cy, without actually talking to each other. We're like, I get 5 minutes, he gets 5 minutes, I get 5. But I thought Austin Butler was great. I just think his performance is better than the character itself. I think the character itself is what's lacking, not so much him or not so much anything else. And then in terms of the speech, I agree with you. So I'm glad I wanted to get in here that we agreed about something finally for the first time ever. I really agree with you on the speech. I think the speech is the perfect mood change to the movie. It's a really good tone shift of, okay, now the power is in his hands and let's see where that goes. And the way that they're trying to stop him and calm him down, and like, you can't speak here. And he's just like, fuck you, I don't care. And he just starts going. That is like, I was impressed with Timothée Chalamet to be able to kind of get to that level, because a lot of times he plays a character who's a little bit more passive and a little bit more like, I don't know, whatever you want to call his character. I'll let you all do it from what is it? Call Me by Your Name. Like it's way subtle.
Like a little bitch.
Yeah, that one. There it is. So it's way smaller, and like you don't think that he's gonna be able to have it, and he pulls it off for sure.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And I'll tell you right now, it's good to know that like in the future, when my teeth get black, right, and I lose my hair and shit and whatnot, I'll still get some pussy, right? Like the movie really gave me optimism for later on in my life. If in hard times, you never know. The black tooth can hit you. So
you have to move to that planet first.
Why don't you just take a Sharpie, make my teeth black, bro? Like, what the fuck? Anyways, great job, Phil. I'm going to go ahead and play a trailer real quick just to break up the sexual tension between Cyber and Phil, the bro hug moment we just had there.
I'm gonna go make water a life real quick. So there we go. If anybody
All right,
wants
sir. All right. Well, make sure you send it over my way. I mean, anything that's blue or purple, I drink.
What was that?
That's my inner Fremen, baby. I'm ready to rock and roll, bro. Anyways, there you go.
I think we're all deaf now.
Come on, sir. That's called authenticity. You know, I'm trying to hold it down from the Fremen.
Deaf.
This is one of those organic movie reviews where we really get in touch with like the characters of the movie and all that shit. So, anyways, gentlemen, so Jessica, the Lady Jessica, travels south to unite the Fremen fundamentalists to Mr. P's aid, right? They believe in the prophecy hardcore. Mr. P remains in the north, fearful that his visions of a holy war will occur if he goes south as a messiah. During another raid on a spice harvester, Paul reunites with Gertie. Oh, we already covered all that. Blah, blah, blah. So Paul, essentially, drink. Paul, again, double drink. Mr. P drinks the water of life, somewhat forced by his mother, unfortunately, who partially is pushing him, but also partially through her time with the Fremen, and because she's gone through the process of the water of life, become her mother, also has begun to believe in the prophecy, right? To believe that it's all real, right? You know, because essentially it is. That's you know how the movie ends. It is real. And so basically we end up with, you know, Mr. P, after he's gone with Gertie to actually see the atomic stockpile, the arsenal, you know, we see him go south to the war council after they're bombed, right? They're by artillery, you know, from the Harkonnen, from their ships, where, you know, they blew up the siege. And it is literally one of the most moving, powerful acting performances I've probably ever seen. You know, like Phil said, Chalamet does not look like a big guy, but he literally delivers in that speech. He comes right in, like, what up? I wish I could recite it. I wish I could play it. It's outstanding, right? And he's using everything. He's using all of his assets. He's using his powers, the Bene Gesserit teachings that Lady Jessica has given him, right? All of it. And his power, that he displays, right, vocally, is just outstanding. It's really an immaculate scene. It really is. How it's designed. The director did a great job of laying that out, right? You know, all around. It's a great scene. And from there, we get Mr. P basically telling them, you know, foul be, right, to what? Paradise, right? Which Stilgar's dick gets real hard then. You know, he's like, oh, fuck, man. You know, the other side's been crossed, right? So Stilgar's all in. You want Stilgar on your side, if you haven't noticed. You know, he's a good guy to have around. So now Mr. P has an army, a real army, right? Which is somewhat positive, somewhat negative, because it just furthers the jihad, which is why he's always avoided South. He knows those Fremen in the South are the ones who will do anything he tells them, right? And anything. Follow him anywhere. So we get then, after the devastating attack on the Northern Fremen, we have, you know, the meeting. Paul drinking the water of life. He's in a coma, but he's saved because, you know, I guess Chauny or whatever, whatnot, everything her secret name or whatever, whatnot, and all that, or some shit, somehow saves him. And wakes up from his coma or whatever, whatnot. I didn't really understand all that.
It's the tears.
Oh, yeah, the one tear from Shawnee.
The water. It's like the water of it's the water of something. I forget exactly what the prophecy says, but it's the water of something can prevent him from dying.
Vagina, probably. Vagina, water of the vagina.
You mentioned something earlier. Can I ask this real quick? I know you're doing your thing, and I don't want to like ruin your flow here, but I want to ask this real quick because I feel like this is a question Jeff actually.
Oh, no flow. Have at it. Go ahead.
Okay. You mentioned earlier that they were doing a bunch of adult stuff. At the beginning of this movie, we see Rebecca Ferguson, Lady Jessica, about to throw up, and Stilgar is looking at her saying, hold it in, hold it in, hold it in, hold it in. And she throws up, and he's like, that's, essentially saying that's a waste of water. Are we assuming that Shawnee and Mr. P weren't wasting some water here when they were doing this? Like, this is just totally, we're not going to talk about how this is a waste of water. They're doing their adult fun stuff, Jeff. I feel like that's a question you would want to answer.
They have the special cup that's there, sir, during intercourse and whatnot, so that the residual
is that what's happening? Okay, good. That's good to know. I didn't know that. I'm glad you know that.
It's added to the pools along with the dead.
And does that also? But does it also like recycle through them, like all the water?
Yeah, I drink that water, so I drink the water.
You drink that water, but I'm assuming like they take their clothes off, and the whole point is like the suits. So like, is there like a special hole in these suits that allows this to happen, so they can keep recycling the water? Because if they're naked, I'm sorry, I don't think that they're going to be able to make it south. So that I just had to say that. I had to throw that in here.
Thank you, Phil. I appreciate that, sir. Good job. Honestly, sir, it must be magic. I don't know how they work that out with the still suits and all that and whatnot. These Fremen are very particular people. But as I was saying, basically, we're working towards essentially the final battle of the movie, right? Where, now Mr. P has his army, right? He's proven already that he is the master strategist. He now has he's taken the water of life. He has full clairvoyance now. He can see all futures, everything, all possible futures, all eventualities, and whatever. He can see all of it. Just a burp. You guys are laughing with that? Oh my God. Me and Phil are just whatever. That's all right. You can see who the adults are here. Anyways, so basically, the enraged Chani, of course, because this is the part of the film where she's enraged. Even when Lady Jessica tries to be nice to her, she's a bitch to her. Now because Mr. P's all down for the cause. But now Mr. P has full clairvoyance across space and time. Right? And this is when he does envision an adult Aaliyah, his sister, right? Anna Taylor-Joy, the one time we do see her, he has a vision and she's able to speak to him. To give you an idea of her abilities, she can actually talk to him in his visions at that point in the film. She's able to vocalize and speak to him through the visions. That is her. Because he has the power now through the water of life. So, he envisions an adult Aaliyah on a water-filled Arrakis and sees a singular path to victory among all possible futures, while also learning that his mother, Lady Jessica, is the Baron's daughter. So he's actually a Harkonnen, right? And that is some serious shit. He's the actual Harkonnen, which his mother admits, but she didn't know it until she also took the water of life. And he says, you know what? Then we'll be like Harkonnens. Or something like that. We'll do what Harkonnens do. That's what happens. After Paul meets with the Fremen Southern War Council and galvanizes the crowd by demonstrating his ability to discern his deepest thoughts, he declares himself, and yes, I'll drink, I don't care, to Lasid al-Gaib. And this is a challenge to Shaddam, who arrives on Arrakis with Irulan and his Sardaukar army as Shaddam chastises the Harkonnens, who I really honestly thought came off really weak in the film overall, the Harkonnens as a house, they seemed stupid. Like they were like really behind on what was going on and like really not organized well with how they handled the planet and all that and whatnot and everything. They seemed very like slow about everything.
Jeff, it's because it's like a superpower versus a gorilla. That's how it's always like.
Well, hey, look, just as they got black teeth, don't mean they're stupid, bro. You know, not everybody has a toothbrush. There you go. Anyways, so in the meantime, we get essentially Mr. P strategizing the sort of like the push of the of the essentially the holy mission of him becoming the ruler of Arrakis, right? And so as Shaddam chastises the Harkonnens for their failures, we get the Fremen launching a colossal offensive. They use the nukes to take out the shield, along with the sandworms, right? As their sort of frontal assault. After that, they bring in the actual land troopers, and we get some great hand-to-hand combat scenes with all the Fremen with their suits, with the added visor and all that shit and whatnot. Some great hand-to-hand, some really good sword-on-sword combat, especially when Gurney takes on Raban. I thought that was really dope that he actually saw him out and shit and whatnot. Some serious Thanos shit. Paul executes the Baron and captures Emperor Shaddam and his entourage, while Gurney intercepts and kills a fleeing Raban. Paul challenges Shaddam for the throne, and Shaddam calls upon who else to challenge Paul. Oh, excuse me, I said Paul as twice now. 2 drinks. As his champion, Shaddam calls upon Fade Ratha to take on Mr. P. Great fight. Great final sword. Great, blade battle. Very long for a knife battle. Mr. P gets heavily wounded in the battle, in the fight. He gets stuck. So he don't walk away with nothing. But he wins, right? And essentially, he threatens to destroy the S fields, the S word fields, with atomics if anybody intervenes with this challenge upon the Emperor. He wins, and so Shaddam reluctantly surrenders, kneels, and kisses Paul's Atreides signet ring. At that point, Paul also demands marriage with Irulan, who immediately accepts because she wants that, that Fremen Caucasian mixed D, right? She wants that strange, Fremen big P D or whatever. So essentially, when the great houses reject Paul's ascendancy, he orders the Fremen to attack the orbiting fleet with the ships that are left over from the Emperor. Stilgar leads the Fremen onto the captured Sardaukar ships, and Jessica and her fucking mutant freak Aaliyah reflect on the beginning of the Paul's Holy War. And Shani refuses to bow to Paul and departs alone on a sandworm. Now in the book, Shani understands completely that Paul has to marry Irulan. He has to politically. And he tells her, Shawnee, I will never touch her, right? You will always be my wife. I'll never touch her. It's pure politics. So they're changing the story of the books for the third film. But I'll go to you first, Cyber, as my co-host, sir. What are your thoughts, sir, on the final part of the film? Take as much time as you want, whether it pisses Phil off or not. If it takes an hour, if you have to go 60-minute, man, sir.
Just let me know before Andres. That's all I ask. That's it.
No, sir, you cannot. It has to go first before you. Fade Rafa and Andres.
Too funny, too funny. Anyways, the final portion of this film, I think, delivers what it needed to kind of give the conclusion to the film. I enjoyed it. I was really shocked that they killed off Austin Butler's character, Stellan Skarsgård's character. And even Dave Bautista's character. I was really surprised though all those characters got killed. Like I said, I've never read the book, so I didn't see that coming, and I was really shocked by that, because bringing in Austin Butler just for this film, I was kind of sad because I was looking forward to seeing more of him. So I was shocked by that, but at the same time, that fight scene was really done well. I really enjoyed it, and I thought that Timothée Chalamet, once again, got to give him props. He did amazing in that scene. The choreography that they did with the fighting, I thought was really well done. And I thought overall it was just a really great action sequence. Basically, I think going back to your Thanos mention there, because Josh Brolin played Thanos, and he ends up killing Dave Bautista, who played Drax and the Guardian of the Galaxy. What poetic justice in this film, that this time Thanos gets the upper hand and wins. So I think that's kind of funny that both of them were both in Marvel, and then we're in this together, and the dying happens opposite way this time. That little Thanos thing was pretty funny there. But I thought that scene was done really well. The final fight with them, him taking out, Rob, I thought that was really done well. I mean, all the fighting, that climactic end fight sequence was really done well. All the extras, all the great visuals, the fighting, all was really well choreographed, I thought. And overall, I just thought that it was very entertaining. Basically Florence Pugh's character, we got a little bit more of her at the end here, accepting, Timothée Chalamet's hand in marriage to save her father's life. I thought was a great little way to nod. I know that I did do a little deep reading on how the ending of this varies from the books. A few things do throughout this film. And I personally didn't think that even if I had read the books, I don't think it would have changed my thought process on how the movies are. Because I have a few movies I have seen, I've read the books and then saw the movie. And some of those movies I was like, oh, I really wish they had put this in. I really wish that. But with this, I feel like that wouldn't change, because I thought how Dennis did it, how he evolved the story a little bit. I thought it worked out well for the film. Because sometimes you can't translate what's in a book to the screen sometimes. It just does not always work. And visually, sometimes you just can't make it happen either. So I think how they ended this film, at where they did, I thought that visually and story-wise, I thought it worked really well. So I really enjoyed the ending. I thought it was a decent ending. And overall, I thought that it completed the movie very well.
Well, actually, to tell you the truth, not being able to read is coming back.
I have no idea what he's talking about, but okay.
I'm just letting you know, sir, that the ability to read is coming back to popularity. But anyways, sorry. Phil, sir, since you seem to have like a serious rivalry going with Mr. Cyber over here on the panel, and you wanted to be first before Mr. 60-Minute Man goes, have at it, sir.
This way I could just bail, right? Well, first, if this is the last time I get to talk, thanks for having me on. I really did enjoy it. I appreciate this. I know you think like 2.5 hours, long time. It is a long time, but I really did enjoy the conversation. I like talking Dune too. I just like talking movies. So even if it devolves into filth of pulling out and using a towel, that's okay. I'm still happy to be here. In terms of the end of the movie, I really liked the end of the movie. I did. I think it really, really worked. The fight scenes, what I liked so much about these fight scenes, and I wonder how everybody else feels. It seems like Cy was getting on to the same part of this. Is I really, really enjoyed how succinct they were. When Josh Brolin Gurney seeks out Dave Bautista's Beast, you think it's going to be this like, oh, I'm going to say this, I'm going to say that, and we're going to have a fight and all that. No, he literally walks up and kills him. It immediately happens. There's no extra padding to that. And I feel like sometimes in these types of action sci-fi movies, they get so dramatic with that stuff and they just keep adding minutes to the movie that just simply don't need to be there. So I really, really appreciated that. Thought the Austin Butler fight scene at the end here with Fade Rotha and Timothée Chalamet, it was so good. I mean, it's really well done. And I appreciate that Fade Rotha gets the stab in and it's like it was part of the plan. It's something that Mr. P could see in his vision and knew that he needed to get this to happen so he could get the finishing move in on Fade Rotha. And Fade Rotha, gives him his props because he's actually impressed that he just got killed. I agree with Cy that it's a bummer with this character that it's not more. And that's where I'm saying with this character coming in an hour and a half into this movie or an hour and 15 minutes into this movie and then being done by the end of the movie, it doesn't matter how great Austin Butler is. The character's just not in enough of this movie to really carry the impact that they want. I'm excited for whatever the next movie is going to be, though. A lot of stuff, a lot of moving pieces. I do think that even though he doesn't necessarily say to Chani, it's, I'm never going to touch her. You're my wife, whatever. He does say you're the only one I'll ever love. And he gets into that kind of stuff. And I mean, he just has to do what he has to do. And it's hinted at earlier in the movie a couple times. So overall, like it's the middle for me, which is the part Cy liked. It's the part I didn't like. I liked the beginning. It got my interest. I think the ending, the fight scenes and stuff, they didn't need to be 25 minutes long. They didn't need to be, this epic battle that has to be the whole third act of a movie. We get into the, you're the MCU's bleeding edge. You watch enough MCU movies. Every time you watch an MCU movie, the last half hour is the fight sequence. It is the third act is a fight sequence that then ends, and that's how the movie ends. I appreciated that this got into that, but did not dwell so much on what all of that had to be. And yeah, we get Christopher Walken now. He's no longer in power. There's a lot of pieces that have moved, and I'm very grateful they're doing a third part, because if it all ended right here, that would have sucked. There's too many open loose ends that we need answered and we need figured out. And yeah, I'm excited to see where they're going to go with it. So I'm in, and I'm done. So thank you again for everything.
I
Sir.
lost my power.
You're welcome, sir. More than anything, you're more than welcome. And if you hang out for a minute, I'll actually plug all your content and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm going to hang out. I'm not actually going to leave. Yeah.
I would let you talk hella shit about the specialists and whatnot, everything, and plug your shit. So, that's usually good.
It sometimes works. Sometimes
it does. Occasionally. In the meantime, I'm not sure if I should go to Wrath of Khan first or Mr. Andres the Pop Culture Guy. I'm going to go to Andres first. I'm going to take a chance. Andres, sir. Your thoughts, sir, of the end of the film.
Okay. I thought the ending was pretty good. I thought it was better than the first ending of the first film. I gotta say that. So I felt that the ending shot of Zendaya, that last shot was so much better than what we got from the first film, really. So yeah, first off, the Austin Butler's character, I don't know what happened. Like the Baron villains were so useless in the film. Like I was shocked that Dave Bautista got killed right away. Like we didn't have this long, cool, fight, with him and Josh Brolin. So that was kind of weird. And then finally we got to this ending. And then I was shocked that Stelskar's Baron, gets cut off from whatever that thing was helping him breathe or whatnot to float. I was like, oh yeah, and then of course when Mr. Chalamet himself came in and just put him off was okay, you think it will be more gruesome death for him, but okay. And then I guess Dustin Buzz character's death was the better of those two. At least he had a fight with just what I wanted from Dave Bautista, but then we didn't get it. But I was very shocked that Austin Butler's character didn't survive, because it'd be kind of cool that he could be a great adversary for the next chapter. I mean, like, they did change several things from this chapter, so I don't understand why they made the decision to keep him around. We'll see. At least Austin Butler committed to the role, and I remember his role, so he did a good job, and I like him as an actor. So, but I gotta say, I was very disappointed with the villains, and I just felt like they were just like so Lucius, like they felt like an afterthought. Yeah, and the ambush was very impressive. I did agree with Phil. Like, yeah, me, Jeff, and Cyber have seen so many superhero films. I mean, yeah, I can understand that the big battle stuff has become so uninteresting sometimes. There's some superhero films that have good endings, and some blockbusters have good endings. I think this was a good ending because they didn't dwell too much on the action. But one thing that's great about it is because everything is practical. That's a huge thing that, for me, that makes this battle works. Like, it reminds me back in the day of the Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings battles, where everything was half practical and then half CGI. Like, you need that balance, and that's one thing that these Dune films have done well, is that they balance practical and special effects. And so you don't have this problem like the MCU, where they rely so much on green screen and CGI, and then it's so fake. Here is like everything looks real, like the sand and like the warmth, like the sand warmth and all that, like feels real when you see in the big screen and the small screen. Yeah, and I was kind of sad what happened to Zendaya's character. I was totally with her now. It's like, oh my god, now he's into this prophecy. He's like a mad titan now. He's actually doing what Thanos failed to do in the Avengers movie, so he's gonna be conquering the earth, the universe. Whatever he's gonna do is like scary. So yeah, so I'm very intrigued about where they're gonna take this character in the third chapter. And yeah, it was great to see was it his sister that's going to play Anna Taylor-Joy, great actress, love her. I agree. Yeah, the Northman, great performance there. The Witch, The Menu is actually my favorite performance from her. The Menu is great film. Highly recommend watching that film. So I'm very excited to see her play more of a role. Same thing with Florence Pugh. Like those two actors need to get more a role in the next chapter. Yeah, what else? I'm trying to figure out what else. I think that's it. I think this was an overall better climax than the first chapter. I will say it's definitely one of the best of 2024 we have. I'm not gonna say it's the greatest sequel and all of that. Like, I think for me, when you say that, it's like you need to see the whole chapter, like the trilogy, to be done for me to say this is a great sequel. Because you cannot say that way when we don't have the third chapter. So whenever we get the third chapter, I will say, yeah, this middle chapter is the greatest, but now I cannot say that because we don't have that third chapter. I need to see how they pay off the stuff with the sister, Zendaya's character, and overall, Chalamet's character arc, and so I feel like that's when I will say it's the greatest sequel. Because the other sequels that we brought up, like, just get back to that topic, Dark Knight, different topic.
We didn't bring up any sequels, so you did.
Yeah. I was trying to.
Nobody else talk about Bane or the Dark Knight.
Don't worry. Dark Knight Rises is not a great sequel, folks. Don't worry. It's a totally different discussion. If you like Dark Knight Rises, I'm sorry, folks. It's not a great sequel. No,
I don't have Bane anywhere in my outline.
No. I just think Dave Bautista could be a good thing. The same. Anyway. Dark Knight and Empire Strikes Back just hit a different mood to you, and plus it did something bold and changed the the state of the franchise or in general cinema. And I don't think Dune Part Two did that. It just kind of just shows the great craftsmanship from the the filmmakers and all that. So I just say, just wait until we get the third chapter. Then I will say this is a good. Yeah. great sequel. But at this moment, I cannot say that. I think it's a good film. It's one of the, yeah, I agree with Phil that it's one of the great, like, thought-provoking science fiction sequels we have as of late, because we haven't had that for a while. But I think overall, it's a great sci-fi film for people to see if you're into those things, you know?
Okay, sir. Mr. Rathakan, sir, would you please wrap up? What are your thoughts on the ending of the film?
So let's first talk about Dave Bautista. So even though his ending was not that great, we got to acknowledge that Dave Bautista, being in the Dune films alone, having a role that would actually still be memorable, even like years down the road, as we have like other Dune films, like that is monumental for his career.
And the TV series. And the TV series.
And the TV series. Dave Bautista first got into showbiz through WWE. Like, I grew up with WWE. That's how I knew of him. That's how I became a fan of him. Ever since he left, he dabbled into other Hollywood movies like Spectre or Blade Runner, but the roles he had in those films, they're not that memorable. Now, he's in Dune. He doesn't have like that prominent of a role as Timmy or Zendaya or the others, but his role is still memorable. Like, that is something he doesn't have in these other films. So even though his ending was, not satisfying, like, he still positioned himself well in terms of his Hollywood career. Like, he is all set. It's significant. It's great. Another thing about the film that I didn't like is how only like in the last third of the film do we finally see the Harkonnens become effective against the Fremen, only because the Baron's nephew first got into power and basically took Batista off of the captain's list, like got him off of command. So it was just interesting to see that when the Baron comes in to lead, the conquer of Dune, it's like he resembles strength for the Harkonnens, while Batista resembles weakness, even though he actually led a successful attack against the Atreides family. Drink. So it was great, though, seeing that Gurney had like his final revenge against Batista. That was nice. One thing that I will criticize with the movie is, why did the Emperor meet near the front lines of the whole war? Like, that's the thing I just don't understand. Like, they're in such a vulnerable place that all of these chaos, with the sandworms and nukes and everything, that could have all been avoided if they met in like another part of the planet, like, more north rather than like right in the south. I don't know why they did that, but I will say the battle sequence was very entertaining, especially when you see it in like a 70-something IMAX screen. That's all I have to say.
I don't know. I think they could have done more with the sandworms visually.
I agree, but hey, at least they ate those, people.
No, the sandworms were great. I just thought they could have done more with them in that final battle.
Yeah,
visually, right? They're so stunning to look at, to watch. Like, in the desert, how they move, how large they are. They're very impressive. All right, let's get into ratings for the film and final thoughts, and plug out and get the fuck out of here. All right. So, anyways, at that point, I'll start with you, Cyber, my co-host. Your rating, sir, 1 to 10.
All right, so I give it a solid 10. And like I always say, I give 10s if it entertains me. If it entertains me enough to enjoy the film, I give it a 10. Now, I know a lot of people out there will give it different ratings. I know that people have different ways of rating them and blah, 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 blah. But for me, if it entertains me, it is to me a 10. So I give it a solid 10.
That is a very simplistic yet logical process, sir. Jasmine?
So seeing it in the IMAX 70mm, I give this film also a 10. Like, the visuals are so amazing, especially when you see like the sandworm's mouth just like opening up. Like, it's surreal. It's unforgettable. That's why I rate it 10.
There you go, sir. Andres, pop culture guy, sir. Your rating.
All right. So yeah, that's difficult. So yeah, I'll give it a 9 out of 10. I think it's still a top tier sci-fi film. Just my gripe is it's just a bit too long. There's some very illogical flaw in the story. As Jasmine brought up, the whole Emperor's, like, why did the Emperor landed in the middle of that like was kind of bizarre. And this is some storylines that haven't yet pay off in this film that we're gonna get in the third chapter. But overall, it's such an entertaining film. I just love it. The visuals are awesome. The cast is amazing. I love the new additions as well. I wish I saw this in theaters. I had to unfortunately see it to rent it. So overall, a 9 out of 10.
Phil.
I'd probably go 8. I think I'd go 8 out of 10. I think the first time I watched it, I probably would have gone more like 8.5, 9, but I think I dropped it down to an 8 on the second viewing. Just didn't have me as excited moving forward. And honestly, I found that it was a little bit more like cerebral than entertaining, which generally I like, but I feel like with this movie, it probably could have done a little bit more to ramp up the entertainment value in my mind. But I give it an 8 out of 10. That's still solid. I just had to say the opposite of what Sai said. So
it's a trapping, though, right, Phil? It's the trappings of having the book and all that, the lore and all that, right? Yeah. That's the trappings. I'll give the movie a. I wish I could remember what I gave Dune Part 1. I'll give it a 9. I'll give it a solid 9. It's very entertaining. It really is. It's very well shot. Cinematically, it's absolutely wonderful to watch for a desert planet, right? Which is mostly where it's shot. They get a lot out of it. They make it work, right? So I mean, as usual with Denis Villeneuve, right? He's known for his cinematic, his abilities and whatnot with all that. The film looks great. It really does. Timothy Chalamet, fucking outstanding, bro. 10 for 10. That guy is goddamn fucking talented as fuck. I don't know how old he is, but he has got range, man. He can do anything. He can do whatever. So just very impressive. Thanks to everybody for being on the show, being on the panel. Appreciate all of you. Good show. 2 hours, 43 minutes. We'll see the plugs. Folks, we are done with Dune Part 2. The Water of Life is over. It's done. No more 60-minute man. We're going to get Phil out of here so he can go live life and drink the water of life right when we get done. So let me go ahead and do plugs. I will start off with Mr. Cyberneticshark, sir, if you don't mind. While I pull up the rest of the team. If my stupid fucking mouse will work. Don't you hate when your mouse won't work? Can't stand it. Cyberneticshark, sir. The floor is yours.
Oh, that's like I usually say. If you enjoy me here on the panel or as the moderator, you can definitely go check out my solo content. You can find me under Cyberneticshark on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, X, Facebook, Patreon, all that good stuff. I pretty much post usually on there quite often. As you see here, my most recent review is Lisa Frankenstein and also Bad Boys Ride or Die trailer reaction. So if you haven't seen those, go check them out. And be having more of that stuff up for you guys. I'll be having more trailer reactions, more movie reviews for you guys. I still got to put up my Ghostbusters Frozen Empire review, my Dune 2, all that kind of good stuff. So keep your eyes out for that. Godzilla X Kong. And just keep your eyes out. If you enjoy, go ahead and subscribe if you like, so you don't miss out on any of those things. And just keep an eye out, guys. Check it out.
Well, I like the idea of the stranger. That sounds good.
Hulu movie. Actually, originally it was a Quibi short that they put out in 2020. It was 10 10-minute shorts, And this year they decided to put it all together and make it one long movie. So it's actually pretty good. Check it out if you haven't seen it.
I love it. Hulu movie. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Jassim, sir, you have to give me your link again in the private chat so I can pull you up on your crazy whatever I'm plugging to. In the meantime, Phil, the specialist, sir, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so our channel is primarily Survivor. And that was what we got into first. I love Survivor. I watched it since I was a kid, so that's primarily what we do over there. But then as we were trying to expand, because I didn't want to be relying entirely on Survivor as my only thing to talk about, we started jumping into some other reality TV, and I started doing movies because I just love movies and I want to talk about movies. So yeah, if you want to tune in, Survivor content, reality TV content, movie content, we got movie content every week. We have a Patreon where we throw up a movie episode every single Tuesday. We just did this upcoming Tuesday is going to be Some Like It Hot. We've done Life of Brian, Shaun of the Dead, Shrek 2 so far this month. We got Spy Who Shagged Me coming up at the end. So that's on our Patreon. But yeah, subscribe to us. You can follow us on X, Cinema Specialists. If you just want to follow the movie stuff, you can see it here. Everything else would be Survivor Specialists, and we pretty much post everything over there. Instagram, TikTok, we're on all those fun things. You can watch my co-host try to figure out the 10 highest grossing Adam Sandler movies in a TikTok we posted. That was fun because you'd be amazed at the movies that were in his top 10. It's not what you think. So anyway, check it out. We've been putting out a whole bunch of stuff, and yeah, hopefully this converts some of you and you'll come over and listen to me talk movies, because that's the one I really want to get bigger.
That's how it usually works, brother.
Mm-hmm.
I would hope it would happen this time too.
I'm hoping, and it was very fun to be here, and I look forward to doing it again.
Most definitely, sir. Let me move on and get Mr. Rathacod with his stock market hoity-toity fucking, super intellectual bullshit plugs, whatever, whatnot he's got going on here.
I'm the only one here who doesn't even talk about movies in his
I said in the markets. Hold on. Let me make sure I get this properly.
Okay.
All right. Mr. Rathacod, sir.
Yeah.
I got you pulled up. Please tell us about Europe, how it being an economic miracle.
I mean, you have to read the article, but overall, my Substack basically focuses on contrarian perspectives on just the main economic and stock market news that you see out there. This is actually my favorite post. That's why I always add that in the plugs. Basically, this post talks about why Europe has actually performed a lot better than many have thought. We dive into just the currency fluctuations and other stuff that shows that Europe is actually doing a lot better than we previously thought. So feel free to subscribe, share it with your friends, take your time reading it. It's quite intellectual. So yeah.
So you're all in for Europe, huh? Economically? Okay.
I'm not going to speak about that.
Okay, sir. Good luck with that. Okay, USA. Anyways, I'm just a pop culture guy, my friend.
Yep, this is Andreas Pop Culture Guy. This is my channel presents Andreas Pop Culture Guy. Recently, I posted my chair reaction. The trailer reaction that me and Jeff did in our last Monday report on X-Men 97. So check out that trailer reaction over there in MCU'S, and then over here on my channel. Soon, I'm going to post a 20th anniversary for Hellboy, the 2004 film directed by Del Toro, which is crazy. 20 years, which is incredible. Love Hellboy, the character, amazing comic book character. Recently, just posted my top 10 favorite X-Men characters, and then, soon this Sunday, me and Jeff are back again to discuss Chucky, season 3, part 2. So we're gonna discuss episode 5 and 6. Death Becomes Her and Panic Room. That's gonna be a lot of fun. If you guys are a big fan of the slasher character Chucky, Charles Lee Ray. So I'm very excited about that. Then that's all I have to say. Crazy that we're almost done with April. I just want to thank the panelists. I want to thank you, MCU'S community, for supporting me and Cyber Please help us reach our mark in 2024. Phil, it was great to see you. Nice to see you. I'm so annoyed I couldn't make it to the 28 Days Later. Love 28 Days Later. Great horror film. It's one of my personal favorite. That's the one that got me into horror films.
Gotcha.
So, yeah. Crazy. So thank you everyone for joining us for Dune Part 2.
You heard it, folks. Thank you very much. We appreciate you very much. God bless all of you. God bless Phil. God bless Andres. Rathacon, Mr. Cyberneticshark, sir. We're out of here. Dune Part 2 is done. Right? Shit is done. It's over. We already finished it up. We wrapped it up. We're about to kill it real quick. We wish you a wonderful weekend. Have a great week next week. Please stick with us. We've got lots of good shows ahead of you. And in the meantime, we'll take care. We'll see you next time.
Hey, yo, Jay, can we get some ratchet one time? Look, I don't wanna talk. How you try and press the kid and read it, you was soft. All you know is capping, homie, you don't know the